Louie Tee. Welcome to Command Post Game Live after a 2020 tie between the Giants and the Commanders. Both teams leave this game now with a tie, and if you're looking for a word as a Commanders fan as to how to feel after this game, I've got one for you. The word you're looking for is fortunate. Fortunate. Like Maxwell. Fortunate. We had our opportunities. There's so much to get to from this game. But at the end of the day, we did not make enough plays to win. And this was a collective effort to not get it done. The defense had its moments, but they were huge. Without the defense, we're talking about a loss, and we're disappointed going into the bye week. For as poorly as we played offensively for stretches of this game, after starting out like gangbusters and jumping out to a 10-0 lead, in typical fashion, the defense folds like a lawn chair when we get a 2-score lead and gave it up in the matter of 4 minutes. It didn't help that we also had, I think, a turnover. No, Giants had a turnover. We didn't have a turnover until the second half. Heinecke fumbled to start the second half, which was what gave the Giants the 20-13 lead. They did what we couldn't do, which is take a turnover and turn it into a touchdown. Instead, we settled for a field goal. And I told you the Giants are a top 5 red zone defense in the league, and that's what the game is going to come down to. I talked about turnovers. Each team had a turnover, and each team had, if I'm not mistaken, 2 trips into the red zone. And again, if I'm not mistaken, the Giants went 2 for 2 and Washington went 1 of 2. I'm going to check that right now. But Giants had 3 opportunities in the red zone and went 2 for 3. We went 1 for 2. And honestly, that's the difference in the game. The Giants scored 2 touchdowns. We scored 1, and you got fortunate in a number of different situations. Heinecke, there was so much Heinecke slander. There was so much negativity. The MOBB's chats during the game sometimes can be so maddening. I want to call out some people, but I'm not. It's not a big deal. I don't care. It doesn't bother me enough to embarrass people. But it was some foolishness going on for a team that had won 6 out of 7 and a team that had been playing good football. You'd think that they'd have a little bit more confidence in what this team's doing this year than what we saw in the comment section. It was a mess. However, with that said, the team fought, and I thought they would. I never thought we were going to lose this game. Up until it was 4th and 10, down 20-13, I didn't think we were going to lose this game. I did not think we were going to convert that 4th and whatever it was. I don't even think it was 4th and 10. I think it was 4th and 6. Whatever it was, I didn't think we were going to convert it. I thought the game was over. And with the way they were getting pressure on Heinecke, I didn't like our chances. But in typical Taylor Heinecke fashion, the guy, this is why he's the starting quarterback of this football team. Again, he makes plays when we have to absolutely have them. And I've talked about this. Look, I don't know what I'm getting from Taylor Heinecke quarters 1 through 3.5. Okay. But I know when the game's on the line, give me number 4. I was actually really disappointed. And look, Scott Turner didn't do a terrible job today, but I do have some complaints and some gripes. They're minor. I'm not going to beat him up, but this wasn't one of his better days calling plays. But I did hate after the Kurt Cole run. I thought Scott Turner got super conservative, like we were already in field goal range. Like, dude, we're not in field goal range yet. After the first down run, you needed to throw the football right there. Like, don't sit here or if you're going to run it, be more creative. Like, they loaded up. They had 8 guys at the line of scrimmage at the snap. And I want to just say this right now. This was by far and away the worst game I've seen from Logan Thomas in a Washington uniform. He was terrible. He was absolutely horrid in this game. He was responsible for one of the sacks. He was responsible for killing a drive with a penalty that I did not think was a penalty, but still, they called it on him. He had the missed block on that second down run that put us way behind the sticks when after that Curtis Samuel run. He misses the block on Thibodeau that gives up the 4-yard tackle for loss that puts us way behind the sticks and puts the Giants in a position to get off the field without us even getting a field goal attempt. Logan Thomas was awful in this game. Had 2 penalties on one drive. He single-handedly made sure he destroyed that drive. He had I think it was a false start penalty or something, and then we overcame that. And he said, "Oh, y'all gonna still try to get a first down, and you still gonna try to keep this drive alive? Well, I'm gonna make sure I put a punctuation on this one." And then he had the block in the back, which again, I thought that was a terrible call. I thought the officiating, at best, it wasn't horrible. This wasn't the Dallas game, okay? It wasn't the Dallas game in terms, but they did not help us in this game. They were not good in this game. They were very uneven. That's what I'll call it, uneven at best, okay? The Darius Slayton egregious OPI right in front of the official. Again, what is he looking at? Our guy is in perfect position, and all of a sudden he's not. What do you think happened to him? He got pushed. That's an OPI. They didn't call it. Led to a Giants touchdown. The no call on Terry. How is he supposed to come back to the ball if those guys are holding him up? You got it right the first time by throwing the flag, and then you let some clowns who weren't right there talk you out of the right call, which was pass interference, and that should have been ball down inside the 5-yard line. Instead, we had to settle for a field goal. That was a travesty. They killed a couple of drives with some phantom calls. Obviously, the Logan Thomas one was a huge one. That killed that drive. That was not a block in the back, and that was a 9 or 10-yard Brian Robinson run. So you not only killed the drive by making it 1st and 20, you also took away a 9-yard gain as we were moving the football closer towards midfield. So the referees were definitely not a help. They were clearly a hindrance in this game, but we had our opportunities. We didn't lose this game because of the officiating, okay? We had our chances, we had our opportunities, and we didn't take advantage of them. As simple as that. And for all of the plays made at the end of the game by Heinecke and company, and how about Jahan Dotson? What did I tell you guys about Jahan? I said, I'd bet any amount of money, every single penny that I have, he'll get involved early in this game. If not the first possession, definitely the second. Well, he touched it in both the first and second possession at least 3 or 4 times. I mean, they got him involved early and often. Big catch and run for him. You saw a little bit of that punt return ability from him when he got out in space, spun on that defender, and walked into the end zone to tie the game up with, ultimately was the game-tying touchdown. We got the football back after the defense got a 3 and out, and we had an opportunity to go down the field. And what did we do? We pissed it away and had to punt and settle for overtime. We had our chances. Cam Sims jumps way too early. I know my guy, Triple OG, is always screaming for Cam Sims. Well, he got an opportunity, and what did he do? He jumped 15 seconds before the ball got there and almost allowed it to get picked up. So he had another opportunity when the defender was out there. I'd like to see him jump over that guy. Instead, he catches it and lets him tackle him. I mean, it was tough. That guy was there, bang, bang, but still. In those situations, when you know they're coming, I talked about, this is the thing that's so frustrating. You knew the Giants were coming. In any 3rd and long situation, they're coming. All right? They're coming. In that 3rd down situation at the end of overtime or regulation, when they blitzed and Heinecke threw it up to Cam Sims and it almost got picked off, you know they're coming. Slant to Terry. They're coming. They cannot guard Terry McLaurin. He went over 100 yards today. Why are we making this complicated? On the overtime possession, when you knew they were coming, right? Slant to Terry. You know they're coming. The corners don't want to give up a ton of yards. They're going to play off and soft, especially on that 4th down or 3rd down in overtime after the Curtis Samuel run. On that 3rd down, you know they're going to play off. Don't run a wide receiver screen because they're blitzing and you think, we don't run screens well. To slant to Terry, get you 8. Now you can attempt a field goal. We can walk this thing off and go home happy 8-5 to the bye week. Instead, Scott Turner wants to throw the screen. We're not a screen team. We haven't broken a screen since like 2020. We don't run screens well. So in a desperate situation, why the hell do you think? And first of all, if you're going to run a screen, why is Jahan Dotson the main block, the kick out block that's going to spring you? The smallest receiver we have, you're going to put him in the position to be the kick out block? Where's the psychological sense in that? I just need answers. That doesn't make any sense to me. And of course, his guy makes the tackle. I just thought that we had our opportunities. And like I said, this was a collective team failure. Every portion of this team let us down at some point in this game, including the officials, to allow this game to be what it ultimately was. We were the better team. Daniel Jones literally was nickel and diamond. That's how you're 15 of 16 at one point. I could have went and thrown 15 to 16 for what he was doing. It was dump off to the left, dump off to the right, check down over the middle. He was absolutely garbage as a passer in this game. Okay? He took what the defense was giving him, which was absolutely nothing for the most part. Had a wide open Darius Slayton. The game's over if he hits him in stride. I don't know what the hell he's doing there. That ball goes over. Slayton makes a hell of a play just to get his hands on it. But if he throws that thing in stride, it's a walk-in touchdown, first play of overtime, and we're all scratching our heads saying, what the hell just happened? Daniel Jones wasn't good in this game as a passer, but he was damn good as a runner, which we knew was going to be a problem. And unfortunately, we still didn't have the answers. And that, to me, was the most frustrating part of this game. By far and away was our tackling, which was not good, and our inability to get Daniel Jones on the ground. They ran a speed, a designed run to the left. It was a student body left for Daniel Jones on a 3rd and 4. And we've got him dead to rights to the sideline. He stops, he cuts it back. Cam Curl allows himself to get blocked by an offensive lineman, and he ends up getting the first. And I'm just sitting there looking incredulously. What are we doing? That's supposed to be a field goal. They would go on to score a touchdown on that drive. What are we doing? I just need answers. That's ridiculous. That's frustrating because that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We had our opportunities, man. So the defense they gave up 4 straight scoring possessions to the Giants. We take a 10-0 lead, and wouldn't you know it, the defense falls the hell apart. Typical Washington, right? Every single time we take a 2-score lead, our defense doesn't know how to act. It doesn't know how to operate. Oh my God, we're up 2 scores. So we can give up a score. That's what you're telling us. We can give up a score and still be in the lead. That's what you're saying? Then we're good. So they give up a score every time. Minnesota game. Falcons game. This game. I could go on and on and on with the games that we've had 2-score leads in, and they decided to give up points. Because that's our move. We did it again today. Did it against the Eagles in the Eagles game as well. Right? It never fails. I'm never comfortable up 13 or 10 because I know we're going to give up a score. The question is it a field goal or a touchdown? Is it a field? It was a field goal today. And then it was a touchdown. And just like that, it's 10-10. Offense didn't help. They had their opportunity to go back and answer the Giants field goal with a field goal of their own or a touchdown. They didn't help the situation. But the defense didn't have to give up 2 touchdowns just like that. And then to proceed to give up a field goal before half to make it 13, and then a touchdown to start. And again, offense didn't help them by turning it over with the fumble, which set them up in great field position. But they didn't get the football at Washington's 7-yard line. They got the football at around the 40, 35, something like that. They still had to drive, 30, 45 yards to score, and they did. So I was disappointed in the defense during that stretch, but then the defense came to life. And after giving up 4 straight, they didn't give up another point the remainder of the game. And if it weren't for them, and really, I'm going to tell you what the biggest play is that Giants fans may be talking about. I don't think a lot of Washington fans are going to talk about, but I'm telling you the biggest play in the game was the personal foul or unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on John Feliciano. You got to love losers, dudes who ain't never won shit before. Got to love a guy 15 yards away from the play, walking over to players trying to get back to the huddle and flexing on them for no damn reason after a 8-yard gain? What was it? 8-yard gain in the first down, whatever it was. Got to love that dumbass play. We would have been losing our shit if that was our guy, because what that did, they were in field goal range after that play. The Giants didn't need to gain another yard, and they would have been in field goal range. We were down 7. The game was over. They kick a field goal. They make it. It's over. The game's done. They couldn't score on that possession. That penalty moved them back to midfield, and then the defense got to stop and force them to punt. That's what gave us a chance. That's why I said, if you're looking for a word after this game on how you should feel as a fan of this team, it's fortunate. Because for as poorly as we played at times, we should have lost this game. It was 4th and 6, Heinecke under siege, rolling to his left. We're complaining, oh my God, Heinecke doesn't throw the ball to his left. He's mobile, but he can't make something happen to his left. And what does he do? Finds Curtis Samuel. Biggest play of the game. Giants coming after him on every snap, essentially. And what does he do? Drive us down the field into the end zone. Jahan Dotson, big catch and run. But Heinecke was spectacular. Offensive line, this is the first game that we looked at the offensive line and we said, damn, did y'all morph back into the group earlier in the season that played the first 5 weeks who couldn't protect a damn thing? Because I talked about this. The Giants are one of the worst sack teams in football. They blitz a hell of a lot. What did I tell you? They're going to come after us. We better be able to pick up the blitz. And we struggled mightily today. And it didn't help that we lost Tyler Larsen. And that was one of my, I talked about it on Wednesday. One of my worst fears confirmed. I said, the one guy we can go without. We can't go without Tyler Larsen because center it's the nervous system of the offensive line. It's the brains of the operation. It's how everything works. And I don't know if Nick Martin called for that last possession offensively we had that Taylor Heinecke gets clobbered from behind. First of all, if you got a baller right there, if that's a baller, that's a forced fumble and the Giants win the game. Because either that's going to end up in the end zone for a safety or the Giants are going to recover it and it's ball game. But he came with a forearm shiver, reminiscent of Chase Young chasing Matt Ryan last year on a 4th down. What the hell was that about? If I'm unblocked and you have no idea I'm coming and you're standing at the 1 yard line, oh, this ball is coming out. This is ball. I got a chance to be the hero. It's ball game. This clown comes and gives him a forearm shiver in the back. We got lucky. Again, the key word here is fortunate. I'm happy with the tie because we should have lost at least 3 or 4 different times. And the Giants allowed us to leave this game with a tie, which is way better than a loss. Because now, think about it. Seattle wins today, and they're playing the Rams. They should win. But let's say they win, right? They're 7-5 now. They still aren't in over us. Why? Because we have a tie. So now, effectively, we own all the tiebreakers with everyone except the Giants. We own all the tiebreakers. So we don't have to worry about this scenario and that scenario. What if Seattle? We don't have to worry about. What if 49? We don't have to worry about none of that shit. We got a tie now. Either we're going to qualify for bonus football or we're not. But the tie is going to separate us. We don't have to worry about any of that shit now. So that's the only good thing that comes from this is we don't have to start looking at, okay, well, San Francisco has these 3 teams left. And if they lose 2 out of 3 or Seattle has this many games left, and we don't have to worry about that now. We got a tie. But this could have easily been and probably should have been a loss because we did not play our best football today. The offensive line was a mess. And you had not 1, 2 guards go down today. The guy that just got back here, all right, had to come in and fill in for us. This was the worst case. The bye week couldn't have come at a better time. I'll just say that. Jonathan Allen got up slow on the play. Montez Sweat got a concussion, did not return to the game. Larson's probably done for the season. He got carted off. You don't get carted off and come back in 2 weeks. We lost Sam Cosmi. They got rolled up on. He didn't return in the game. This bye week couldn't have got here at a better time. All right, we limped into the bye. It would have been so much sweeter had we limped into the bye with a win. And we had our opportunities. Got the football. Defense got to stop. We were rolling. Uncle Mo got up off the Giants sideline, walked across the field, and said, hey, can I get a beverage? We had our staff go run and get him a beverage. We were trying to win this bitch in regulation. Defense got to stop 3 and out. Danny Johnson almost picked it off. We got the football. I'm thinking, hey, let's go do these boys and walk it off with the special teams player of the month from November. Well, I wish he was the special teams player of the month for December because it really came down to him missing a kick. Both teams missed a kick, but ours was very makeable. And if he makes that kick, we're talking about a 3-point lead that we're nursing at the end of this game with a chance to shut it down and beat the Giants 23-20 instead of going to overtime. I'm not going to kill him. All right. It wasn't 42 yards. It was 52. I need him to make that. But he's been pretty clutch for us this season. He hasn't missed a bunch of kicks. So I ain't even tripping. If we would have lost, you look back on that one definitely. You know, a tie, you look back on that one definitely. But we're fortunate. All right, we're fortunate. And there's so much more that I could get into with this game because, as I just told you, special teams let us down with a missed field goal. Special teams let us down with Percy Butler blocking a guy, 15-yard penalty out of bounds. So you're trying to get good field position. Now you're starting at your own 10-yard line, inside your own 10-yard line. Like, do you want to lose the game or what? What are you trying to do? Come on, young fella, know the damn rules. So special teams hurt us. We had a penalty on just about every special teams return. Antonio Gibson thinks the ball's going to bounce either out of bounds or into the end zone. The shit dies. Then he struggles to pick it up, ends up running in the end zone, almost gets the safety, escapes to like the 7-yard line, and we start inside our own 10. Like, special teams did not have a good game. Okay. It was a rough go of it. They let us down. Obviously, the defense gave up 4 straight, scoring possessions. Daniel Jones at one point was like 10 of 10, and he was like 5 rushes for like 57 yards. Like, what the man? You knew what we were getting coming into the game. And some of these weren't even called runs. It's him just making something happen. Like, come on, guys. So the defense let us down. They made up. They more than made up for it. And then the offense. I mean, I thought Scott Turner, I thought he couldn't help himself. Brian Robinson's averaging 6 yards a carry his first 8 carries of the game. At one point, he was 9 carries for like 55 yards or something like that. And I'm like, excuse me, Scott, is there a reason we getting 5 on first? And we were getting 5 on every first down. This wasn't some first down. Every first down we ran, whether it was Gibby or Brian Robinson, we was getting 5, a bare minimum of 5. Can you explain to me why on 2nd and 5, they haven't stopped the run yet to this point in the game? It's 10-3. Okay. It's 10-3. We scored on our first 2 possessions. They can't stop the run. We got it going. It doesn't matter who's that running back. It's 2nd and 5 after a 5-yard Brian Robinson run. Can you explain to me why we throwing the football on 2nd and 5? No answer. No reason. I get it. You don't want to set tendencies until they stop it. Make them stop it. Make them stop it. They hadn't stopped it. He wanted Taylor Heinecke to throw the football in this game. You could tell early on. It was a lot more passes than I was comfortable with. Now, Heinecke would not have made it to 40 attempts. What did he end up with? 41. He would not have made it to 41 without overtime. But he would have been at 34, 35 attempts, 33, no less than 33 with a win or a loss in regulation. It was just too many passes early in the game where I felt like, hey, we killing them on the ground right now. I just run it back. Run it back. Of course, 2nd and 5 ends up being 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5 ends up being a Giants blitz, and it's a sack. So this is the problem I have, with Scott Turner was he couldn't help himself. He had to throw. He had to have a game in here where how many times? And I'm pretty sure I'm going to look at this, and we ran it 38 times. Pretty sure I'm about to look at the breakdown 36 times. And I figured we would get there, right? I would look at it and we would run it 30, but we ran it 36 times. And again, the reason the number is so high is because of overtime, right? We ran it a lot. Like, even when I was like, okay, we're not quite in field goal range yet. You get 3 on first down. That we didn't get 4 or 5 so that you can run it back again. We got 3. It's 2nd and 7. You should be throwing the football. They haven't stopped Terry yet. They're scared to death of Terry's speed. They're playing off. Throw another slant. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. How about a slant and go? They do for one of those. We don't do things that complement the things we've done already. They started to try to jump the Terry slant, right? Where's the sluggo? Off of it. Have Terry run the slant. Boom, get outside, and let's go to work. That last drive where we tried the wide receiver screen, that was the time for the sluggo. They come, they coming with a blitz. If they playing super off, just run the slant. If they playing a little bit tighter, run the slant and go. They gon' bite because they know the ball coming out quick, and just have Heinecke lay it up there. Either we getting a pass interference because the dude is cooked on the slant and go, or you're gonna have an opportunity. I don't like the wide receiver screen there because we just aren't a great screen team. Even the one Terry ran earlier, that shit was disjointed as hell. Ran into a guy, had to jump over somebody else, and got stopped. It was a valiant effort, but the shit was far from clean. Really disappointed with the opportunities that were presented to us. We had 2 or 3 drives that were like 6, 7 minutes and came away with nothing. And this is the thing we talked about. With the style of football that we're playing, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to stay out of trouble. You can't have penalties because we're not a good – we had a 1st and 20. We're not overcoming 1st and 20. We're not set up for that. 3 tries to get 20 yards combined. That's not us. We're not the Chiefs. We're not the Cowboys. We're not this dynamic. We're not the Dolphins. We're not a dynamic and explosive offense. We can't put ourselves in 2nd and 14 and 1st and 20 and 3rd and 13. That ain't us. That's somebody else. It ain't us. And we were constantly in that 3rd quarter going into the early stages of the 4th, we were constantly finding ourselves making a drive and then boom, false start. Logan Thomas. False start. This guy. Holding. This guy. Blocking the back. Logan Thomas. And all of a sudden, what was a promising drive, shit's dead. Sprinkle in a couple sacks and pressures. Offensive line was not good today. Not good. And another thing on Scott Turner. If I were speaking, I probably would have cussed. Because I was up to wit's end with him putting, and we had this discussion with Scott Sass earlier in the season. Okay. Had a discussion with his monkey ass. Stop putting our tight ends to block pass rushers one-on-one. Stop doing that. Stop. Stop putting Logan Thomas. Stop putting John Bates. Stop putting Cole Turner one-on-one with another team's edge rusher. Stop doing that. It does not work. It hasn't worked. It never works. Now they can chip. Stop putting them to block. I don't care if you've got a running back coming to help. That's the same thing that happened with the Ojulari play. He started with John Bates, beats him around the corner. Antonio Gibson comes over with a bullshit ass half-hearted attempt at finishing the job, and he still gets him. The ball goes in the air. Stop doing that. Logan Thomas gets beat for a sack and a forced fumble. Stop. Our offensive line was terrible today. And I talked about this. The Giants don't get sacks. They're like 20. They were 26th in the league. They don't get pressure. You couldn't tell today. They were all over Heinecke's ass. And he avoided 2 or 3 more sacks. Or else they would have had about 7 or 8 today. Because I think they had 5. If I'm not mistaken. Definitely 4. I think they had 5. Giants had 5 sacks. Thought they had 5. They had 5. We had 4. If I'm not mistaken, we had 4, and they had 5. Their best pass rusher, Azeez Ojulari, came back today, and it showed. He was all over the backfield. We had no answers for him. We had 4. They had 5. I was disappointed in the offensive line today. Everybody got their ass whooped. We took turns. Larson, before he got hurt, got his ass whooped. I don't know if Cosme got beat or not before he got injured, but it seemed like the pressure intensified once he got hurt. When Wes Schweitzer came in, it seemed like shit amplified, and then obviously, Martin comes in, and it wasn't really, just the interior. The guys on the outside were getting their ass handed to them too, as well. But stop putting tight ends to block edge rushers. Stop doing that. You can have a tackle coming, with a tight end chip, get a piece, and then have the tackle finish him off. But don't have the tight end blocking him and then say, hey, running back, finish him off. Nah, don't do that shit. Just a frustrating day all around. After a 10-0 start, and again, opportunity in the red zone. Scott Turner, I watch so many creative plays, whether it's college or the NFL, on a weekly basis, and our shit is just stale and vanilla in the red zone. Our shit is trifling. It's nasty to watch. I'm sick of it. We just aren't creative. I watched the Chargers last week score a touchdown and go for 2, and it was the cutest 2-point play. I mean, just the sweetest little, cute 2-point play. You go, oh my God, that is such a cute play. Oh, that's cute. Easy walk-in 2-point conversion. We struggling over here. We on a struggle bus in the red zone inside the 5. Shit is annoying. Past annoying. At this point, shit is frustrating. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to your comments. I've talked probably a lot longer than I need to. I want to see what you guys have to say. And a lot of the stuff that I want to say, if you guys don't bring it up, guess what? That's what I have a show for tomorrow. I'll bring it up then. But a lot of times we're on the same page. You guys usually bring up the stuff that I was thinking about anyway, and then I can elaborate on it. So let's just get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say after this game. I'm going to need y'all, Condo P, Kevin the PRF, because I know I missed some because I talked for a little bit there. So if y'all are out there, please send me any and every super new member, all that good stuff that I may have missed. Thank you, please, and thank you. Jay Willard, stand up. You are officially the newest member of the MOBB. Really appreciate you. Mob, you know what to do. Show Jay Willard some love. Welcome him with open arms to the MOBB. I'm going to move this. Y'all give me a second. I'm going to move this to this side where I'm not at because I'm closer to the other side. That makes a lot more sense for me. And we'll take the and just pull it down right here. That way that logo is not in the way and you can see everything you need to see. So Jay Willard, welcome to the squad. Welcome aboard, man. Glad to have you. Hopefully you can bring some more positivity into the MOBB chats because some of y'all were utterly ridiculous. I can't tell you how many times I heard the season's over. When the Giants took the lead. Matter of fact, when the Giants, first of all, the fan base is so scarred. I'm not even going to call this being scarred. You know, some of this is just people they don't know how to control themselves. They have these swings in emotion that are scary. It's almost borderline on the verge of some manic shit. When we went up 10-0, there were people talking about, hey, let's blow these dudes out. Let's put up a 40 burger. First of all, y'all know who y'all talking about. Like, know thyself. We're not scoring 40 on nobody, especially the Giants. Let's blow them out. I told you you're going to need the defibrillator this week. And you're going to need it after the bye week. Like, it ain't no blowouts against NFC East opponents for us. We blow somebody out. We had our chance to blow out the Texans. That's it. That was the only team on the schedule that we were going to have a chance to blow out. We blew that opportunity, but we weren't comfortable. Then you were hearing all kinds of stuff, man. Let's do these boys X, Y, Z. Then they tie it up at 10, and the season's over. Oh, my God, we suck. This defense is terrible. We suck. We're going to lose. Season's over. Oh, my God, you would have thought that the Giants had scored 30 unanswered points, and it was 30-10. You would have thought we lost 6 out of 7 coming into this game, not won 6 out of 7. It's amazing. Anyway, true Eminem Mullinex. So I hope, Jay Willard, you coming in with some positivity, man. True Eminem Mullinex. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Hashtag HTTC. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, they are not going to put Young in at all this year. And if they do, what's the point? They said 2 weeks after the bye. What's the point? After we got a 10-point ahead, the teams like after we got a 10-point lead, the teams like we don't want games here have it. I don't know what the hell you had going on at the end of that statement. True Eminem Mullinex. Got to slow down and make sure it makes sense. That's a struggle for me right there. But I've stressed this already. When we get up by double digits, whether it's 13 or 10, it's never 14 with this team. It's never 17 with this team. We're never allowed to expound upon a 2-score lead. Never, not with this team. Didn't have that opportunity against the Eagles. Didn't have that opportunity against the Vikings. Didn't have that opportunity against the Falcons last week. Didn't have that opportunity today. We never give ourselves an opportunity to expound upon a lead. We always even the Titans game where we're down, 14. We're down 7-10. I think it was 10-7, excuse me. And Carson throws his second bomb to De'Ami Brown. And just like that, we give up the 61-yarder to Westbrook Akina, and they score a touchdown. Had them on 3rd and 9. We let Austin Hooper wide open over the middle of the field catch a 10-yard pass right at the 3-yard line, and they end up scoring a touchdown with Derrick Henry. And we didn't even have a chance. I think that made it The De'Ami Brown touchdown made it 17-14. And then they scored the touchdown. I'm talking about within like a minute and 30 seconds, they scored a touchdown. Like, we didn't even get to exhale. Like, oh man, that was such an exhilarating play. That's the second for De'Ami. We didn't even have a chance. That's our defense. Don't tell me they're elite. It's a good unit, man. A really good unit. Don't tell me they're elite, though, because they don't do elite things. Okay. The Denver Broncos defense is elite. It's a shame what happened to them again today. They did everything in their power to try to win a game, keeping the Baltimore Ravens under 10, because their offense is so tragically bad. They created turnovers, sacks. They knocked Lamar Jackson out of the game, and they still lost 10-9. That's an elite unit. That's not what we are. So I don't want to hear anybody talking about this defense is elite. It ain't elite. It's damn good. And it's good enough to win football games with, I may add. Okay? But it ain't elite. Alex Kurz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And hold on, before I move on. Sorry, Alex. True Melanex, True Eminem Melanex brought up Chase Young. He's going to play. You know, I know some of you are getting impatient. The guy had the first major injury of his career, and it wasn't a regular. Like, a lot of y'all like to play the comparison game. Well, this guy got injured, and this guy got injured, and why is this guy coming back? Because it's not the same injury. Chase shredded his knee, bro. Kneecap and all. Patella tendon ruptured. That's not supposed to happen when you tear your ACL. You're not supposed to also rupture your patella tendon. That's not supposed to happen. Those two injuries don't even go together. He did some freaky shit. So it takes even longer for him to come back. And again, I told you, a lot of it is psychological. Knee might be fine, but mentally, Chase needs to feel comfortable, because if he doesn't, he'll get injured again. This is a really violent and physical sport where mentally you got to be locked in and have confidence that I'm okay. And if it takes another 2 weeks, if it takes another month, if he doesn't play this season, so be it. We've gotten this far without him. Alex Kurz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Alex writes, "Hey Lou, what's up, Alex? Many blessings to you and yours this holiday. Likewise. Can't believe got caught rooting for a tie as the better option. This is the kind of game I feared. Look, could have been a loss. And look, I'm not the one that, like, I hated the play call on that last 3rd and 10 when we were backed up after Heinecke took the sack, and then you get the Brian Robinson run. And I'd like to see Robinson, first of all, I'd like to see him cut that up, not run out of bounds, because you needed to keep the clock running. But because he fumbled out of bounds, the clock did keep running, and the Giants did have to use their time. I thought the clock would stop in that situation, but it didn't. Anyway, after you got that run to make it 3rd and 10, I get you don't want Heinecke putting the ball in harm's way, and I don't like the draw right there. That's a give up. Like, if you don't get this first down, understand what's about to take place. You punt this football, you're probably not getting it back. That's number one. Number two, the Giants are going to have great field position and a chance to win this game. Understand what you're doing when you give up on 3rd and 10 with a draw. You're playing for a tie at that point. I'd much rather have us go down in a flame of, a blaze of glory, and have it be unsuccessful and lose the game trying to win it than to just concede a tie. Now, I'd much rather be tied, granted. But in that particular, there's certain situations where you're like, hey, you probably should just play for the tie here. And maybe for some of you, and clearly for Scott Turner and Ron Rivera, that was one of them. 3rd and 10, our guy just got sacked not too long ago. We're not comfortable dropping him back. He's been destroyed today. I like our guys. I said this in the MOBB. They can't cover us. If we could just protect, they can't cover our guys. That's clear and obvious. Terry's over 100. Curtis is over 60. And Jahan's over 50. Like, they can't cover us. I mean, it's obvious that if we could just get time, we'll scorch them on the back end, which I knew and I talked about. But I said, you got to protect. And we didn't. I didn't like the 3rd down and 10 give up. But again, I guess for the position that we were in, it was probably what you needed to do, I guess. I don't love it. Just going to be honest with you. Bradley Roche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I think I am more angry about this game than any other this season. It feels like the play calling coddles Taylor because they don't trust him to throw over 10 yards. He's proved he can't. I don't agree with him not being able to throw over 10 yards. That's a farce. I mean, the Curtis Samuel fourth down play where he's rolling to his left is way over 10 yards. Like, stop. I do think there is a bit of coddling him. If they had a quarterback that they trust more, I do think they would have been more aggressive in certain spots. Clearly, they would have done that. But this is who we are. You can't complain about Taylor and this, that, and the third, and play calling behind Taylor being the quarterback. And you know, when we're winning, you know, games, and it's because of how they're calling games and you know, the things that they're doing, you can't complain about it. You can't have it both ways. You know, I'm gonna just tell you like this. I don't know what Wentz does, you know, this entire game. I just know what Wentz doesn't do. Down, you know, 7, 4th and 6 from your own 33-yard line. I don't know what Wentz does leading up to that. I don't know if the score is 20-13 or not. I don't know if Wentz plays, but I don't know if he turns it over more. I know he's sacked more than 5 times because the pressure was there for the Giants. And like I said, Heinecke got away 2 or 3 other times, or else this is a 7-8 sack game reminiscent of week 3 against Philadelphia. If this is Wentz, it is that kind of game. I don't know what Wentz does throughout the game when he's got time and if he hits other guys or what may have you. But I know 4th and 6, Wentz ain't doing that. He ain't scrambling out of the pocket, avoiding rushers, rolling out, buying time to his left, and throwing across his body to Curtis Samuel for the first time. I know he ain't doing that. So, I mean, you can complain about Taylor Heinecke all you want. How about the offensive line protect? How about they do a better job of doing that? Don't blame Taylor for Scott Turner running the ball against a loaded 8-man front. And when I say loaded, they had every bullet in the chamber. Okay. It was a 6-shooter. It was a Magnum. And you couldn't spin the shit and there was one chamber not loaded, right? The whole shit was loaded. It don't matter where you spin it and clip it. You pull the trigger and a bullet's coming out. They had every gap covered. They had every dude at the line of scrimmage. And we just going to run into that? We just going to ignore that. Why? Because Logan Thomas going to block Kayvon Thibodeau, right? That's what you banking on getting on the outside. On Logan Thomas delivering a block on Kayvon Thibodeau. That's what you banking this run off of. Don't blame that on Taylor Heinecke. That's on Scott Turner. I'm not more angry. This is a tie. You can't be more angry at a tie than you are a loss. This isn't more frustrating to me, and I can't tell you how to feel. This could be the most frustrating loss for you because a lot of you are prisoners of the moment. The latest is the greatest, and the latest is the worst. This isn't worse than the Tennessee game. This isn't worse than the Vikings game. Pick one of those two. RVA Monarch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, this game after bye makes the game after the bye even bigger. This makes the game after the bye even bigger. It does. It was big anyway, but it makes it even bigger to your point because we really can't afford another loss in the division, if we're being honest with one another. Like, had we lost this game, it would have been debilitating to us in the standings, not just in the NFC, but in the conference. We can't afford. We already lost 2 in the division. A third would have been soul crushing. So now you have an opportunity at home to protect the house. You're going to get some guys back. You know, you hope to get some guys back after the bye week. Juice would help a lot because Christian Holmes wasn't terrible, but he wasn't good today. He got cooked on the touchdown, gave up the PI, was right there in great coverage, did everything technically sound. And then when it was time to go make a play on the ball, he let the guy push him, and they didn't call it. You know, I thought he wasn't great today, but he's a young corner, man. Like, what do you expect? He's a 7th round corner that we're putting in out of necessity. In this league, Even if you're a first-round corner, it's baptism by fire. You're going to get cooked as a corner. These receivers are too skilled. These offenses are too advanced and complex for a young fella to come in here. Unless you a top 5 talent, unless you Sauce Gardner, unless you one of those day one dudes that you plug and play, you're going to come in here and you're going to struggle a little bit. You're going to have your good days. You're going to have your bad days. And a 7th round pick, especially, Sip, gave us all he had. But like I said, if there were 2 weeks that we could go without Benjamin St. Juste, it was the last 2 weeks. We didn't lose this game because Sip, you know what I'm saying? We lost this game because, first of all, early on in the game, we got pressure on Daniel Jones. And then what happened? Like, we got some pressure in certain instances where Jones just held on to the ball for too long. But he had a lot of time to throw. But he wasn't killing us. Again, it was dink and dunk city for him. You want to talk about coddling a quarterback. They're coddling him, but that's the thing they've always asked him to do. Just don't turn it over. Just don't turn it over. We'll be fine with whatever the results are. Just don't turn it over. Definitely makes the game after the bye that much bigger, but I'll take the tie instead of the loss. William Lee, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. William Lee writes, "Welp, we didn't lose. That's right, we didn't lose. We didn't win either, but we didn't lose. It could be worse. That was a fun game. First, let me say that it was a fun game. You'd like to win it, but we're as evenly matched as evenly matched gets. I mean, you look at the stats across the board, and there are glaring differences between the two teams. Like for in one instance, pressure, sacks, all that stuff. We're way ahead of the Giants, right? Offensive weaponry. This is why I was so incredulous with Bad Dog when he tried to sit there and tell me that they had more talent than us. What are you talking about? It's not even close. But when you look at us as teams, I've said this already. They're better coached than us because we have more talent than they do, and they're getting the most out of their talent. And so when you look at them as a football team and us, it's pretty evenly matched, which is why the game came down to what it came down to. I told you there are only 2 teams in the NFC that are in the playoffs right now. 3, excuse me. And one is only in because of their division. They shouldn't even be in the playoffs, and that's Tampa Bay. There are only 3 teams in the NFC in the playoffs right now that have a negative point differential. Everybody else that's in the playoffs, way over. Plus 50s and 70s for Dallas and 50 for the Eagles and like 50-something for the 49ers, because that's what you do. The Giants were -7 and we were -3. Okay, and the Bucs were -5. We're as evenly matched as it could get. So you knew this was going to come down to the wire, and I told you it's going to be the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. And we didn't make the least amount of mistakes. We didn't make the most either. That's why I ended up tied. But we make 2 or 3 less mistakes, we win the game. And again, the officials didn't help us, but we didn't help ourselves. You're right, William. We didn't lose. We didn't lose. Bradley Roche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Bradley writes, the screen plays on every 3rd and long made me want to throw up. I can't stand that, Bradley. I'm right there with you, man. Scott, at some point, like Scott Turner, that's the definition of insanity. I don't care what kind of screen you're running. Tunnel screen, regular traditional running back screen, tight end screen. None of them work for us on 3rd and long. So just stop. You want to run a screen on 2nd and 7? Knock yourself out. But when the other team knows we're trying to get it out of our hands quickly, we have tells. We have formations that we like to get into when we want to run it, which is why I'm like, at some point, Scott's going to run something off of this. I see it every week. A team runs 2 wide receiver screens early in the game, and then they pump it and have somebody go deep. When do we ever do that? We don't. We line up the same way every time, run the same shit every time. You don't think they know? I'm waiting for him to have, and that was the perfect situation. I'm waiting for them to fake the screen and have Jahan Dotson, instead of blocking there, fake like he's going to block up the sideline. I'm waiting for that opportunity. When is it going to come? When are we going to do it? What are you holding on to that for? When does that actually transpire? I get it. This was not the game for that. I'm just saying in general. When they're coming after you, you don't have time for double moves and pump and goes and all of that shit. I understand. Totally get it. That needs time to develop. But at some point, you have to be able to do that. There's some things that I went back and watched the Jacksonville game from week 1. There's some shit we did in week 1 where I go, wow, haven't seen it since. Remember the diamond formation in week 1 that we ran? Beautiful third down play call to Curtis Samuel. Really spread out the field. And then Curtis is running a whip route underneath, and he's wide ass open on 3rd and 6 early in that game against Jacksonville. And the media was so impressed. Oh, they talked about the diamond formation at least, 15 times during the aftermath of that game, between the post-game presser and talking to him during the week leading up to the Lions game. Have we seen that formation since? No. But we've seen that dirty-ass wide receiver screen 15 million times that don't work. We've seen that funky-ass running back screen that got us a pick in week 1 and ain't worked. It's frustrating. William Lee, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, finally, a Jahan sighting. I told y'all he was getting a rock this week. What did I tell y'all? This group here, up here, as a wise man used to say, this group up here, they overreact to that kind of stuff, which is fine. We got playmakers. I don't mind them overreacting and making sure Jahan gets 9 targets, which is what he had today. I don't mind that happening. But that's what this group does, is they overreact to what the outside media and influences say. Oh, man, Jahan, no targets. Curtis, no catches in this game. What happened? Look, it's a simple thing. Every week it's going to be somebody else who didn't get the ball enough. That's how this offense is going to work. Like, I'm not saying De'Ami Brown's a massive target, but the man had one of the biggest catches last week. He didn't even get a target today. That's how it's going to be. Some weeks, somebody's not going to get the football. All right? But he was a factor. And you know what? And I shouldn't even address these fans, because those fans are the type that I don't really conversate with. I don't really have much to say to you. The ones that were calling Jahan, a bust, and they were looking at what Chris Olave was doing in New Orleans and wanted to compare the two. And to those people, I got nothing to say to you. I got absolutely nothing for you. I'm going to just let you keep airing out your mouth. You just a lot of hot air. Go ahead and air that shit out. I got nothing for you. But Jahan is fine, man. We know what we got. We know we got us a dog and a playmaker. I mean, he showed it today. Let's see. Frankie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what a damn game. That was a good one, man. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Twists and turns, ups and downs. You're up 10. You're feeling good. You're tied. You're down, 20-13 for the longest time. The Giants seemed to be like, literally, we were in critical condition. Like, it felt like they were 1 or 2 hits away from finish him. I mean, after that first down, if we don't get the John Feliciano foolishness, they are going to win this game, guys. The game's over. They're in field goal range. I think that play ended at the 36 to the 35. And then the 15-yard penalty walked it back to midfield, and that's what gave us life. We would have lost this football game. So, what a game. 4th and 6 from your own 33-yard line. Like, this game was crazy, man. Crazy. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Oh, my gosh. I didn't even read the rest of your comment. Sorry, Frankie, I apologize. I got so carried away with what a good game this was, because it really was. I enjoyed this game. NFC East football at its best. Yes. I mean, you got to love it, right? Like, it was fun just listening to, and I'm not a Jonathan Vilma guy, so I really don't like when he does our games. I don't know if we've even won a game this season when he's done our game. Him and Kenny Albert, which I don't mind Kenny Albert, but I'm not a big fan of Jonathan Vilma. But that said, he's not terrible at his job. I'm not a big fan of his. That said, it was so fun listening to Vilma talk about NFC East football and, these two teams in this division, and this is great and I'm enjoying this. That it felt good to hear that, because he was echoing everything that I felt. Like, this is NFC East football. This is what it's about. Giants had, 70,000 fans on their feet at the end of this game trying to, get a stop, or, hoping for a field goal to win. That fourth down, there was a shot of Heinecke breaking the huddle and the Giants fans in the background hitting the stanchion and making all types of noise. They thought they had this game. All they needed was a stop. And then Heinecke, and then Kenny Albert said it perfectly. Heinecke quiets the crowd with that big throw to Curtis Samuel. And it was a hush that came over that stadium. You could have heard a pin drop. Man, you come straight out of a comic book. He says, everyone take time and get healthy. Still 7-5-1 after starting 1-4. Celebrate. I don't know about celebrating today, not after a tie. Could have been worse, but could have been better too. Who did the spin better, TH4 or Kendricks on Kendricks or Jahan? Oh, clearly Jahan. Kendricks one was nasty, especially for a quarterback like Taylor Heinecke, but Jahan did it, didn't fall down, and scored after it. Oh, that's some video game shit that he did. I mean, that's beautiful. That's as good as it gets. That reminded me of Santana Moss. Santana would do that spin all the time. The problem was Santana would do it so often that it got old after a while to where people expected it and it didn't work. But Tanner would spin all the time, and that reminded me of a Tanner spin. That was nasty. Love it. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, by the way. Game of hope and despair. Last kick looked good. Phew, it did. I thought it was good because I know Graham Gano has the leg. So I was like, and I just wanted Joey Sly to have a chance. After the Curtis run, you're literally 5 yards away from Joey Sly. Like, the target line was the 40 because he's made a 58-yarder this year against Philadelphia. So the target line is the 40. After that Curtis run, I think we were at like the 44. Like, we didn't have that far to go. You run it and you get like 3 on first down, and then you lose 4 in the next down. And like, at this point, I'm just like, just get 6 or 7 yards. And even if it's 56, I just want Joey to have a shot because he's going to redeem himself right here. Give him a shot. He never got the chance. To me, that was the most frustrating sequence of the game. And we had some frustrating sequences in this game where either didn't produce points. We had, penalties that negated drives, just stalled out drives. Officials picking up flags that should have pushed drives forward. There are a lot of frustrating sequences in this game. I don't know if there was a more frustrating sequence than after Kurt Cole gets the big 21-yard run, and we're right there. I mean, ask any Giants fan, they're probably telling you we thought we were going to lose the game at that point. I thought we were going to win. At that moment, I'm smiling. I'm getting all giddy and typing shit in the MOBB. And the sequence of plays that followed were, you could argue, the 3 worst of this 6 out of 7 now, 6 out of 8, I guess. I guess that's what it is. 6 out of 8. We've won 6 out of 8. That was the worst sequence of play calling in that stretch. And the results bared that out. It was a frustrating situation. That kick definitely looked good. I thought we had lost the game. I was ready to go put my black stuff on and set it up, and I was ready to be disappointed. I mean, because you can never tell depth unless it's high up in the air. And even then, kicks die, and you can't, like the Joey Sly 55-yarder against Philadelphia, that shit barely made it over the crossbar. That shit was as high as it could get. You thinking, oh, that's definitely good. And it barely made it over. Whereas the 58, that shit was good from 63, right? You can't tell on the TV because you got the back angle. All you can see is left or right or down, the middle. And that shit was true, right down the pipe. And if it's got the distance, it's good. And I thought it had the distance. I was watching the officials the whole time, and I saw one look at the other one. And once I saw his arm go like this, like he was about to do the Razor Ramon, enough, like I'm about to go get the razor's edge. Once I saw the arm go up like this, I said, shit, he missed it short. And then Kenny Albert was like, and it's short. I'm like, arms went up. I'll take it. I felt like we stole something because we should have lost that game 2 or 3 times over. Even the possession before that, Giants had the same opportunity that we had, and they pissed it away. They had to. Look, Jonathan Vilma, and it turned out to be the right decision. But Jonathan Vilma was like, I know they're not going for this on 4th and 3. I would have went for the shit. Why not? Either I'm kicking a field goal or I'm going for it. I'm not punting in that situation. I'm not punting the ball there. Because if you punt in that situation, and it worked out for the Giants, they should have gotten a sack, forced fumble, and won the game. I don't know. I still don't know what the hell Kayvon Thibodeau was thinking on that sack, but they could have gotten the football back, and they had a chance at the end. But for me, and I get it, you want to give yourself the best chance to win without giving Washington any chance of winning. And that's essentially what they did when they punted. When they took the delay of game and punted, they took away any option for us to get a short field, which is what would have happened had they kicked a field goal from 50. It would have been about 58 yards before the delay of game penalty, maybe 56. And clearly he would not have made it because he was short on that kick. And I can't say clearly because he just might not have stroked that one good, and maybe he could have kicked another one and hit it from 60. I don't know. But if you don't convert it on the kick or the 4th down attempt, if you go for it, Washington's got great field position. But we've had great field position before, and we didn't do shit with it. So my mind's eye, if I'm the Giants, they're thinking we got 2 opportunities. We just had one. We blew that one, but we're going to punt, and we're going to get another one if we get a defensive stop. We got 2 chances to win the game. When they got the football with that great field position, they said, we got 2 chances to win the game, to score once. They didn't score in the first one, even though they got dangerously close. They punted, and they had another opportunity after we punted. I myself might have gone for the win because if you convert 4th and 3, you're going to win the game. You get a fresh set of downs. You don't even have to get another first down. You get 4 or 5 more yards, and now you're clearly in field goal range. We're talking 49, 50, 48, something along those lines. Now you're going to win this game, more likely than not, because Graham Gano is a really good field goal kicker. I don't know. We might have been able to stop them. I would have just ran read option. Had we stopped that all game long for 3 yards? I would have gave it a run. I mean, I was telling Jonathan Vilma, shut up. He was he said, right now it's 3rd and 4. I'd run read option right here. I'm like, shut up, Jonathan Vilma. Don't get him no ideas. I don't know if anybody that's, important is watching the telecast, but I damn sure would have ran the shit. That was one of their better plays of the day was read option, getting Daniel Jones outside. His legs were by far and away the most dangerous thing on the field today to me, but I don't know. I digress. And that kick did look good, metaphor. Confused Luck. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, I don't know who I am anymore. Rob, you. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes. It was great to see weapons utilized. It was because we've talked so much about those 3 guys at the receiver position in particular and how dynamic they can be. And for the first time in a very long time, probably since week 2 against Detroit, they were all on display. Maybe week 4 against Dallas. I think Jahan had a touchdown in that game. I don't know, I don't think Terry did anything in that game in particular. I got except get held and molested and not called by Trayvon Diggs, but it's probably week number 2 against Detroit was the last time all 3 of these dudes got off in a game. And so it felt good to see that. The thing that was so disappointing is that was there all day if we wanted it. We just couldn't protect. That was the frustrating part. And it's not like the Detroit game, right? Week 2 where we got ambushed by the blitz and we were shocked that they were blitzing and we didn't really know what to do because we didn't see that on film. Well, we don't have Jalen Hurts, so they can be more aggressive, and that's why they came after Carson Wentz in week 2. But we were surprised. Scott Turner and company had no idea what the answer was. Oh my God, they're blitzing us. What do we do? We knew they were going to blitz us. I talked about it all week long. That's what they do. They blitz, and they don't care. They don't care. Either you're going to get it out of your quarterback's hand, or you're going to block it up, or you're going to pay. We didn't do a good enough job of blocking it up. Alex Kurtz, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Alex, who writes, saw their advantage in ours today. We can exploit mismatches in the secondary. They can overmatch our offensive line. But also, Bellinger, Jones, and Barkley together have their own advantage when successful. Exactly. I told you, Bellinger doesn't do a lot, but when he does make a play, it's usually huge. Either it's a touchdown or it's a first down. We know Jones and his legs can be problematic. We saw that today. I thought he did a really good job of just being efficient, taking what the defense was giving him. It wasn't, him pushing it down the field. He got an opportunity to push it down the field to Slayton in overtime, and it would have been a touchdown. He did hit Slayton deep down the field on a play where he pushed off, but they didn't call it. And so there were opportunities for Daniel Jones down the field, but all in all, a lot of his passes were just, dink and dunk. I think he barely made it to 200 yards. And, while he was 15 of 16 at one point with the only incompletion being a spike, I wasn't blown away by him throwing the football. When they absolutely had to have it, I didn't think he was great. I didn't think he was clutch. But that said, they do have, I wouldn't call it an advantage, but they do have stuff. When Barkley has it going, and he had it going the tail end of the first half, we pretty much shut him down. I felt like he didn't get it enough in the second half, if we're being honest with one another. Let's see what he ended up. He only had 12 carries. Dude averaged 6 yards a carry, 12 for 71. Or excuse me, that's Daniel Jones. My bad. He had 18 carries for 63 yards. So we cleaned it up, because at one point Barkley was 12 for like 61. So 18 carries for 63 means, there was like 2 or 3, 3 or 4 yard losses in there. So we cleaned it up in the second half. My bad. Daniel Jones was 12 for 71. Barkley had it 18 times for 63 yards. We pretty much clamped him down after he had a magnificent first half. We pretty much clamped him down and forced Daniel Jones to beat us. But that's another thing that's frustrating with us is a star is born when we play teams. Guy you've never heard of, or a guy that the other team's excited about, but he ain't done shit in the NFL game. That guy's going to have himself a game. And that guy was Isaiah Hodgins today. I loved him coming out of Oregon State, first and foremost. But he got drafted by the Bills. He never materialized there. He ends up in New York. Who doesn't end up in New York? They got nothing at receiver. And gets an opportunity today and killed us. Isaiah Hodgins had their lone touchdown grab. It seemed like every crucial third down or, big second down that needed to cut it down or even convert, it was him. That's frustrating. Spence Collies, thank you for this super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Spence writes, I guess we all kissed our sister today. Tie greater than a loss. I guess so. It could have been worse, man. We could be sitting here at 7-6. I hate it. This takes me back to 2016 over in London against Cincinnati. That tie ended up being the reason we didn't make the playoffs. There was a point where I thought about vomiting, but then I thought about all the opportunities that we had to be 7-6 instead of 7-5-1. And I said, you know what? Vomit, go back down. And I started singing Maxwell. Fortunate, because we were fortunate to get the win today, or the tie today. We easily could have lost this game 3 or 4 times. And again, if not for John Feliciano, we do lose this game. We don't even get the Heinecke magic. We never. I said the same thing against the Vikings. I just want him to have the football with a chance, because he's the first quarterback that I can remember where I'm confident if he gets a chance, he's going to do damage. How? I don't know how, but some way he's going to find a way to get it done. You want to know why this locker room is rallying around this dude? You want to know? He got his ass whooped today. You and me, and we're the same size as Taylor Heinecke. Some of us are bigger than him. Okay. Heineke's not a big dude. And I thought there were at least 3 or 4 different times he got hit after he threw the football. It's called the step rule, the 1-step rule. If you've got a chance to take a step, you can back off and not hit a dude. He was getting clubbed upside the head. He was getting hit late. The officials are standing right there. They would not throw the flag. I can't tell you how many times Daniel Jones on these bootlegs, he's rolling out, and our defensive tackles and edge rushers, they're going inside and they're getting held and they're not calling it. And he's getting to the edge. And I'm like, they finally called it. You know, that destroyed the Giants drive. But I'm like, damn, it took you till damn near the 4th quarter to finally call one of these. Like, what is the problem? They've been doing it all game. Could have been worse. So we'll take the tie. Just hope that tie doesn't come into play in terms of us, you know, having a chance to play the playoffs. But because we didn't win that game, it hurts us. Let's make the tie irrelevant. You go 10-6-1, you're making the playoffs. Make the tie irrelevant. Rob, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Lou, with all of Ford's faults, that 4th down pass to Samuel is why this team rallies around him. Why so conservative in overtime? You just hit the nail on the head, Rob. That is exactly what I just said, but eloquently put. That is why you want to know why the team rallies around him. You want to know why they're not going back to Wentz. That's why right there. Because like I said earlier, I don't know what Carson Wentz does in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 2/3 of the 4th quarter. I don't know what he does. I don't know if we're losing 20-13. I don't know if the Giants haven't picked him off or sacked him 4 or 5 more times and he's fumbled 2 or 3 more times, or if he's been picked off and it's an even wider margin for the Giants. I don't know if he's made some plays and made some throws and all of a sudden we're ahead in the game. I don't know. I can't say. It wasn't one of those games where you go, Wentz is definitely not winning this game. This isn't one of those games. I can just tell you, Wentz definitely isn't making that 4th down play. The dude that I saw earlier this season that had 2 left feet, that looked like he had cement in his shoes, the dude that ran a read option and ran the slowest read option we've seen probably in our entire lifetime. Like, he looked like he was 290 trying to run that read option against the Bears. Slowest read option I ever seen. Kept. He ain't rolling out to his left, escaping pressure and finding Curtis Samuel. I don't know about you. That dude ain't doing that. That's why they rally around 4. Say what you want. And there's enough criticism to go around. Say what you want about 4. That's why they rally around 4. And your guess is as good as mine as far as the conservative play calling in overtime. I complained about it already. I wish I had an answer for you. I like that they ran it. Keep being creative with the run. Curtis got you down there. It's 2nd and 7. You know you want to run it again. You see the Giants are loading the box up. Either you got to get out of that run. If you caught it in a huddle, you got to call 2 plays or something. You got to get out, call a timeout, whatever you got to do. You cannot run into that look, especially if our guys aren't blocking and winning those one-on-one battles, which they hadn't been all day long. You got to get out of that play and get into something else. We ran right into a blitz look, and it was a jailbreak. Started with Logan Thomas getting his ass whooped at the point of attack by Kayvon Thibodeau, and then 3 other dudes was in the backfield. And, in typical B-Rob fashion, he broke the Kayvon Thibodeau tackle, but it was 3 more Giants coming. What is he going to do? That's a loss of 4. I wish I could tell you why we were so conservative. Even after the sack, you run it. That's a nice little run for Brian, Gibson or Brian Robinson that gets us out of our own end zone, essentially. I didn't like the 3rd and 10 draw. Like, you're essentially saying, hey, we cool with a tie at this point. We ain't trying to win. Now we just trying not to lose. I don't like that. But again, it is what it is. Trevor Patch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Trev writes, hey, Lou. What's up, Trev? At start of the season, you said 10 wins would be a successful season. It's still doable, but acceptable as successful without playoffs. 10 wins is you're getting in. There's no way, especially 10-7, maybe. At 10-6-1, you're definitely getting in the playoffs, bro. There's no way, because the Giants, the Seahawks, and us, if we all end up at 10, well, the Seahawks don't have the tie. So they're just 10-7. There's no way that I can't say there's no way, but the likelihood that the Seahawks win 11 is very small because of that loss to the Raiders. Had they beaten the Raiders, there's a chance that they win 11 games and 10 isn't enough. But after that loss, I think they're going to lose at least 2 more games. That's all they have to lose at this point. And they're going to be at 10. We just got to get to 10. That's the magic number. 10, I told you guys 10 is an acceptable number, but I wouldn't be overly thrilled with it because of the schedule and the opportunity that was being presented to us. I wanted more than 10 because that would be the first time we've had a record north of 10 wins since, 1991. This was the opportunity to do it. I'd take 10 because we don't get double digits around here. So I'd take 10, but I want more than that. Well, after today's, result, 10 looks more realistic than 12 or 11, which looked very realistic just 3 hours ago. You beat the Giants, you go to 8-5. 11 looks really doable. Now at 7, 5-1, you'd just be happy to get to 10 at this point. You only got 4 games left, right? Giants, 49ers, Browns, Cowboys. You got 4 games left. We have to win 3 out of 4 of those games. That's why this was so big. We needed to win this game. Losing the Titans game, losing the Vikings game, it put you in a position where the margin for error shrinks. Every time you lose a game that you shouldn't lose, the margin for error shrinks that much more. We tied a game today that we easily could have lost, but we also could have won and should have won. We should have lost and we should have won. That's the kind of game it was. And so now your margin for error shrinks again. Doesn't shrink as much as it would have had we lost and sat here today at 7-6. But it shrunk because if the Seahawks get to 11, you're probably on the outside looking in. If the Giants don't collapse, and we'll see what the Giants showed you, and I told you they're going to fight their asses off in this game. They're not going to back down. They did not come this far to just absolutely fall the hell apart at the seams. They're too well coached for that, and they've come too far for that. We'll see what they do next week against Philadelphia. Shit'll be really interesting. If the Eagles take care of them, they're now tied with us at 7-5-1. If the Eagles lose, and it can happen, it's family business. Anything can happen. They beat the Eagles. They're not going away. And I told you, I was looking at the Giants, ready to pull the mask off. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, we still haven't apprehended them yet. You can't take the mask off like Scooby-Doo at the end. You got to catch them first. So right now, they're still posing as a playoff team. We didn't take the mask off of them today. But we can take the mask off of them next week. If Philly beats them next week, and then we beat them, and they're sitting there at 7-6-1, and we're at 8-5-1, we're trending in the right direction. They're trending in the wrong direction. But again, anything can happen. And if we don't get them, and like somebody said earlier, it makes the game after the bye that much more important. You can't win 10 games and not make the playoffs at this point. Again, it's possible because the Seahawks could win, 11 games. It'd take them to win 5 out of their final 6. I don't see them doing that, not with the schedule that they have, but anything can happen in this league. I wouldn't put it past them. But they've got the 49ers again. They've got the Chiefs. I just don't see the Seahawks winning both of those games and not slipping up somewhere along the line against one of these teams in their division. But we'll see. Anyway. Strider, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. To answer your question, though, Trev, 10 wins is acceptable. After starting 1-4, I'll be elated with 10. But I still felt like missed opportunities. Should have beat Tennessee and or Minnesota. And then we wouldn't even be having that conversation. But we need a QB1. Boot Scott Turner. When can we have it? Again, like during the season, during the stretch that we have, like that's stating the obvious, Strider. We know that QB1, for all intents and purposes, isn't on the roster right now. For some, that guy could be on the roster in Sam Howell. I don't even think he's the answer, to be honest with you. I can't say that with 100% certainty because I don't know. But I don't think he's the answer when it's all said and done. I think he's a slightly more mobile, stronger armed Taylor Heinecke, but I don't know if he's clutch like Heinecke or not. Only one way to find out, and that's to put him in the game. But we'll see what Washington decides to do this offseason. Will they look to upgrade the position for the third consecutive year with a guy outside of the organization that's not on this team currently right now as a veteran, like they did with Fitzpatrick and then last year with Wentz? Or will they just say, you know what, let's give Sam Howell a look-see. Let's have a real quarterback competition. Heinecke, you come in as the incumbent starter. We're going to give the young fella Sam Howell a look-see. He knows the offense now, has a year under his belt, and may the best man win. And that's the way you go about the quarterback position. I know that would make a lot of you happy, but, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what their, answer is. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming out this year with talent. We'll see what they decide to do. But we know we need QB1. That's stating the obvious. And Scott Turner's not going anywhere. So don't even waste your breath asking about him. The man got an extension last offseason. He's not going anywhere. And just so you know, us as fans have a problem with Scott Turner. Ron Rivera and the guys inside, they don't have a problem with him. Just so you know. That's a fan thing. That's not a Ron Rivera thing. This isn't like obvious like it was with Sam Mills III as the defensive line coach. Like, I don't think Ron's having an issue with Scotty, as he calls him. I don't think so. Mr. Ron B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mr. Ron B writes, we should have won this game in the first half. Missed pass to Thomas was a lost opportunity, among others. Facts. That should have been a touchdown. And I talked about, opportunities. That was the biggest thing that I talked about. The team that doesn't waste opportunities is, and the team that makes the most of the opportunities that they do get, doesn't turn it over. And if they get an opportunity, that's the team that's going to win. Logan Thomas is wide ass open for a walk-in touchdown, and he throws it 3 yards over his head. I mean, and we settle for a field goal. Like, it's just little stuff like that you don't even think about, unless you're really paying attention. That's 4 points. That's the difference between winning this game and losing this game. It's 4 points. And he airmails it. That's the same throw that I bitched about last week to Terry. Same throw. I said, I told you, I don't need more Heinecke, which we got more this week. I don't need more. I just need more of the Heinecke that I'm already getting. I need more out of it. Okay? I just need more out of the Heinecke that I do get. I don't need more passing attempts. I don't need 41 like we got today. I'm fine with my 27. I just want more out of those 27 pass attempts. That's all I'm asking for. He had an opportunity. He missed it. He had several, but that was the one that you can look at and say, hey, bro, no pressure. Everything you want, it's right there. You got to make that throw. You're not wrong, Mr. Ron B. Let's see. Hey, now, I told y'all Logan had his worst game. Y'all ease up on him now. Logan's still a good football player. One of the captains of this team, and a guy that I feel like we can count on. He just didn't have a good game today. He didn't. He hurt us today. But y'all ease up on Logan, man. Chill out. Will Morales, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Will writes, just glad we walked away with a dub. I would like more change of pace offense with TH tempo. Seems to open things up users' legs. Hashtag HTTC, heal up and let's effing go. I think he does do well with tempo. We've talked about this already. He's talked about it. That's the offense he ran exclusively at ODU, where he was up tempo. He's shown the ability to really thrive in that situation, and I'd like to see him do that more. That's what he did at the end of the game. That Jahan Dotson touchdown drive, that was tempo. That was all Taylor Heinecke in his element. I don't know why we don't do that more during the course of the game, but Scott Turner is stubborn. He's stubborn. I don't know why it takes us to get into these 2-minute situations. Is this ironic, or is this because of who Taylor Heinecke is? They showed the stats, right? End of the second, end 2 minutes or less in the second half. Washington is second in the league in points scored, and the differential. We're the best, plus 30 in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's because we're always playing in close games. So you have to be scoring in those situations. But it just goes back to the point of when we got to have it and we're in hurry up and Taylor's able to get to the line of scrimmage, bark out orders, and he doesn't have to wait. He's better. So why don't we do that with 9 minutes and 22 seconds left in the second quarter? Why don't we go tempo? Get a first down. You can't start tempo without a first down, right? Why don't you get a first down, and then you get up there, you get to the line of scrimmage, and you go tempo? Why can't we do that? Don't ask me. Again, these are the questions that should be reserved for Scott Turner that he doesn't get asked. But these are the questions that we ask every single week that we don't have answers to. And I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I also wish that you were right that we got a dub today, because we didn't. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, King of the North, writes, way too damn conservative by Ron and Scott. I hate ties. That's why I can't stand soccer, which is why I don't watch hockey. I don't think hockey have ties anymore. They have shootouts. But I can't watch a sport in which ties are prevalent. I was at the gym, right? This has nothing to do with nothing. Just hear me out. I was at the gym, and I go in. I always get in the sauna. The sauna is very relaxing. It does your body good. I come out, I take a bath, and I'm getting dressed, and the World Cup's on, right? And this is why I can't watch soccer. I have no idea what I'm watching. I don't know what an offsides is or any of that shit. I just know they're kicking the ball back and forth, back and forth. Why? Because it's 1-1, and if they get a tie, they're moving on to the next stage. That shit doesn't make any sense to me. That you're playing for a tie, that you're wasting time because you're just trying to get rid of this bonus clock so you can get your tie and move on to the next stage. I want to win, but they're playing for a tie, and then they effed up. They made a mistake kicking it back and forth, and I don't remember who they were playing. I think it was like Japan or somebody, and they steal it. They go the other way, and they score a goal, and they beat their ass 2-1, and they knock them out. And I'm like, that's what your ass gets because you were playing for a damn tie. I hate ties. I do too. I need to know. You know why a lot of guys go crazy in a booth that are athletes, especially football players in particular, is because they could do a great job, but there's no win or loss at the end. All you get is you did a great job tonight, or man, we got to improve. We got to do better. But you didn't lose. I remember Jason Witten. He was terrible on Monday Night Football. And he said, I'm struggling with this booth thing because after it's over, I'm getting killed on social media. So I feel like I lost, but there's no winning or losing. I just got to prepare for the next game. And I need feedback. I need more information. I need to feel like I've won or I've lost. That's a tough thing. When it's ambiguous, when you tie, you're like, well, we didn't lose. But then somebody yells from the back, but we didn't win either. You're both right. It sucks. That said, I'd much rather be 7-5-1 than 7-6. Just saying. They settled for a tie, and that makes me angry, Lou. Sets up a must-win at home, and we don't play well at home. Facts. You're not wrong. We won our last one at home, though, if that means anything. But this, you're right. I don't like that they played for a tie. 3rd and 10, and you run a draw. They can't cover Terry. They can't cover Curtis. They can't cover Jahan. And you just said, well, don't want to put Taylor in harm's way. You know, at that moment, if we punt this football away, the likelihood is that we're not going to see the football again. We will not see the football with a meaningful snap if we punt this ball away, and you were perfectly fine with a give-up draw on 3rd and 10. That's a loser's mentality. That's what that is. I don't like it. But I told you, this is why they get paid the big bucks, because I might have pissed the game away 3 or 4 different times before we even got to that point, being over aggressive. Because I'm still waiting for the fake punt. It's 4th and 1. I'm still waiting for the fake punt. Everybody in the league has already pulled off one of these some bitches except us. We too scared to call one. You don't need a lot. If it's 4th and 1 and you snap it to the up back, he ain't got to do nothing but just run to the pile and have 2 dudes push him forward. It's not hard to get a yard. It's one thing if it's 4th and 6. You know how many times we've punted 4th and 2, 4th and 3 from our own 40, own 45, right in that area. I always call it the vortex. I'm still waiting for the fake punt. But anyway, I digress. I just hate the fact that they weren't more aggressive. Even after the Curtis run, I thought we just were playing for, like, bro, Curtis didn't run that down to the 35. Curtis ran that to the 45. We weren't in field goal range yet. Scott started running plays like we were comfortably in field goal range already. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I am befuddled. I'm baffled. I feel bamboozled. I feel hoodwinked. We don't play well at home, but that doesn't mean we can't go home and win. So, anyway, I feel you on that, King of the North. Confused Luck. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, who writes. So, if I picked us parlay, do I lose or win? I have no idea. In order to complete a parlay, you have to win. So I would assume you don't win. Like, you don't get a parlay. If you picked a 3-team tease, you need all 3 of those teams to win or to cover whatever you bet on. It doesn't. You can't exclude one of those teams. Well, they tied, so the other 2 won. Do I win the money? No, you don't get shit. You gotta get all 3 of them. So I would assume that you lost if you ran that parlay. Rob U, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Rob U, writes, pass blocking was suspect and Juice was missed. He was, but again, like I told you, of all the games on the schedule, maybe Tennessee is the only other team where we could have afforded him not play and been fine. The Giants don't throw it well. They don't have a lot of weapons at the receiver position. And the Falcons aren't going to throw it a lot, and they don't have a lot of weapons at the receiving position. These are the 2 teams that we were playing. I was okay with him being out. You don't want him to be out, but if he's going to miss some games, these were the 2 to miss. We could have gotten by with SIP these last 2 weeks. And it got to a point where they had enough, and they put Danny Johnson in. And Danny wasn't much better. I shouldn't say that. Danny was much better, but he still gave up stuff. But Danny was much better. SIP was, and again, you're asking a young guy to come in and you're asking him to do work. That's a lot. You're asking a lot of a young fella, man. I wouldn't advise you to do that, which is why we said from the jump, I hope they're going out and they're looking for a veteran at the cornerback position, because I'm telling you right now, and they went out and got Rashad Wildgoose and Castro Fields, and I'm like, that's not good enough. Now, those kids may ultimately turn out to be really good for us, but that's not going to help us this year. But it is what it is. Let's see. Got another super chat. This one is from Lance Eubank. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Lance Eubank. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, Scotty Boy killed us, bro. Heinecke was white hot, and we went full turtle shell mode from the 10 because he didn't trust the hot hand. Jahan is him. I wouldn't describe Heinecke as white hot. He was in his bag for a little while there. I wish, with the momentum that we had, even though we didn't score on that final possession, and that really frustrated me, how that final sequence before overtime went, because they blitzed us, and we were acting as if we didn't know they were coming with pressure. Like, come on, man. Like, and I hate when we get into those situations, because we were so concerned with making sure the Giants didn't have time. We never go full out aggressive until we have to. If there's a chance, we do this before the half. Every time we have the football, we do this before the half and late in games. We are so concerned with what the other team's going to do. What do I always tell y'all when we have these discussions about other teams in the division and chasing the Seahawks? I always tell you, F them. Don't worry about what they got going on. As long as we take care of what we got to take care of, all of that other shit is irrelevant. Okay? A wise man once told me, I let the losers worry about losing. That wise man was me, actually. I let the losers worry about losing. Why are you concerned about what the Giants are going to do with the football? If you do what you're supposed to do with the football, they won't even get an opportunity with the rock. And that's the thing. Andy Reid ain't worried about what happens if my offense doesn't convert. He's like, to hell with that shit. We going for it. The explosive and dynamic offenses in the league, they're not concerned about what the other team going to do with the ball with 1 minute and 37 seconds left. You over here worried about, well, let me run it on first down just to take some time off the clock to make sure that if we do have to punt, they don't have as much time or they got to spend their timeouts. No, that's what losers worry about. They worry about the clock and no, we trying to go for your jugular vein and watch you bleed out. That's what we trying to do. I'm trying to cut you right here in your aorta and has blood just gushing everywhere. You drop to your knees, and I'm just watching. No, that's what the Chiefs do. That's what the Dolphins do. That's what the explosive dynamic teams do. They just cut you and watch. The Eagles, that's the shit that they do. They cut you and they just watch you bleed out. We over here with a damn paper clip, and we open the paper clip up, and we got one little fine little end to the paper clip, and we want to just give you a little poke. But then after we poke you, we apologize for even stabbing you once. Oh, my God, are you okay? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Stop worrying about what the other team's going to do if they get the football back. You're taking away aggressiveness from us. You're neutering us instead of us being the alpha, us being aggressive. We're so worried about what they're going to do if they get the football that they actually get the damn ball back. Stop worrying about what they're going to do and you go be aggressive. Oftentimes, wins go to the aggressor, the team that goes after the win. Yeah, the Rams are struggling now, and they gave up all their draft capital, and they don't have a first-round pick till 2030. Yep, all of that is true. But you know what else is true of the Rams? Sean McVay said, there's no time like the present. We're going to attack success. Go after it. We're not waiting for success to come our way. We're going to grab it. We get into these 2-minute situations before the half, at the end of the game, and we want to first make sure that you aren't going to have any time in case we fail. Why are you thinking about failure? That's the thing that kills me all the time. We stay worried about failure all the time, that it stunts our opportunities for success. You've heard me say this many times. And I mean this when I say it. Scared money don't make money. We scared as hell with the dice in our hand. We got all this money down on the floor, and we just hoping we don't lose it. And instead of rolling a hot die or rolling some hot dice, we scared over here. We want to talk everybody head off. Everybody over here sitting like, bro, roll the dice. Stop talking to me. Roll the damn dice. And we just praying that we get to walk away with this money. Instead of rolling the dice and saying, let's see what happens. We scared, man. And that shit bothers me. But that's who we are. I don't allow it to affect me as much as it did earlier in the season. But games like today bother me because we ended up in a tie. And I feel like a lot of that is because we weren't aggressive. We didn't go attack success. We wanted success to fall in our lap. I felt like that after the Curtis run. I felt like that at the end of regulation, when we had the football with all of our timeouts, but the Giants had all their timeouts, so Ron was worried. Well, they've got all 3 of their timeouts. So I guarantee you, I haven't heard him speak. You guys know I don't get to listen to that until later on tonight. I guarantee you at the press conference, if someone asked him about the late game, decisions on why they did this and did it, well, you got to, and Ron said, well, the fact of the matter is, what you got to understand is The Giants had all 3 of their timeouts. I don't give a shit about how many. The Giants could have had 10 timeouts. They got to stop us. But again, that's how we do it around these parts. So at this point, I try not to get frustrated. And I really have done a good job of not really allowing our lack of aggressiveness at the end of, halves and games. I have done a better job of really just not allowing that to affect me. But today, because you end up tied, and I felt like there were opportunities where we would have had a shot had we pushed the envelope more, had we been smarter, had we been more aggressive, had we been on the attack instead of on our heels, the outcome might have been different. Anyway, I digress. Jahan is a dog. And again, there were some out there that had a lot to say about Jahan. And I told you, those are the people at the barbershop that I told you I don't engage. I don't talk to those people. I know more football than all of those people combined, and I just don't say nothing. When my barber looks at me, I'm like, bro, don't bring me into this shit. I got nothing to offer. I got nothing for you. They talking some bullshit over there. I can't add nothing to the conversation. Let them have that dumbass conversation that they having. So, anybody that was talking that Jahan Dotson nonsense, they won't talking to me. I ain't had nothing to add there. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. King of the North writes, Ron needs to grab Scott's playbook and scratch out every screen. How many downs have lost throwing those awful screens? King of the North, I wish I could tell you. We're all frustrated. We've all seen the screens more than enough times to know that they don't work. And I know you can't just stop calling screens altogether, because that's one of the ways you beat a blitz is to throw a screen. But if you don't block screens well, you're not just going to magically start blocking them better 15, 14, 13 weeks into the season. We are what we are as a screen team. You come back next year and you try it again and you say, all right, we got to be a better screen team. That's one of your objectives in the offseason is, hey, we're going to block screens better. We're going to be a much better screen team. Okay, you work on that in the offseason. We are what we are right now. With the personnel that we have, we are what we are as a screen team. There's no change in that. So why do you keep banging your head up against a brick wall? If anything, I'd like to see you run something off of these screens now. We've run enough of them for teams to know that we're going to run them no matter whether they work or not. How about you fake a screen and throw a rail route? Why don't you do something creative off of these screens now? I don't know. It's ridiculous. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Swaggy P, writes, I call these types of games Heinecke heart attack games. Scott needs to stop calling screens. Also, refs were sugar, honey, iced tea. Let's take this bye to heal and learn from our mistakes. Hashtag HTTC. The refs were definitely not a help. They were a hindrance, but it wasn't as uneven as it was against Dallas, where we had like 13 penalties and the Cowboys had like 4. And they're holding us, grabbing us, doing everything to us, and they're not calling it, and they're calling everything on us. It wasn't quite that. As a matter of fact, I'm actually curious now. What was the actual final count penalty-wise in this game? Washington had 7 for 56, which wasn't even that. It seemed way worse. And the Giants were 4 of 34. So, again, it wasn't as ridiculous as it could have been. But you know what is ridiculous? Neither team was good on third downs. But you know what is ridiculous? We were 3 of 14 on third downs. That sucks. That's ridiculous. That stinks. And generally, when we lose, it's in games where we're 3 of 11, 2 of 11, 3 of 14. That's another stat that's pretty telling for us. When we convert third downs, it gives us more opportunities to run the football. But you know how you convert third downs? Being in third and manageable, which we weren't in a ton today because of either penalties or because Scott Turner went away from the run, inexplicably after a 5-yard run on first down. So, got to credit the Giants pass rush, though, because they really got after us in this game. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Metaphor writes, offense after first OT stop. What are we doing? Run, run, run. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought the Curtis run on second and like 7, 6, or I think it was, they gave us 4 on the first run, and they came back with a Curtis run and he got 21. Genius, pure genius. I loved it. You know, what was frustrating was after that, I didn't mind the next run. Okay, they hadn't stopped the run. Keep running it. You got 3. Okay, cool. But we're not in field goal range right now. Understand that. 3 is not 4. 3 is not 5. If they gave up 5 on that first time, okay, we got to give them another dose of this run. We got 3 and we barely got 3. Okay. So at this point, they've said to themselves, we're not giving up no more runs. Y'all gonna beat us. You're gonna have to throw this bitch. But we coming after you. If you see the line of scrimmage on that play, you would go, how in the hell did they think that running this, unless somebody, took their guy out, they got a double team up front or something, and the hole just opened up, which, if I'm not mistaken, I can't say, I don't remember if that was a gun run or it was an outside zone. I think it was an outside zone, and Heinecke was under center. I don't remember. I just know when you look across the line, the Giants have every single gap covered, and they've got a guy on the edge on the backside of the play that was unblocked. And then you got Kayvon Thibodeau one-on-one with Logan Thomas. And even if Logan wins that block, there's so many guys in the box, I still don't know if he's getting outside of him and getting a big game. It was dudes everywhere. And we just said, nope, we're going to run it anyway. That shit doesn't make any sense to me. That's the one that I struggle with. Now you're in 3rd and 11 after the 3-4 yard loss, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. And now you're throwing a stinking funky ass screen. And I said, I know this formation is empty. They got 3 guys up top. I said, I know this shit. I've seen it before. He better not throw this damn tunnel screen. He threw the damn tunnel screen. Of all the shit you can do. Divine Do Care. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Divine Do Care writes, I'm so tired of QB talk from the fans. We have nothing better than 4 right now. Blaming this tie on 4 is insane to me. Let's save sack QB talk until offseason, please. I agree. There's nothing you can do about it now. So that talk is irrelevant. You're wasting time, energy. That I really don't like to spend a lot of time on myself personally. But I've done this already. I did it a month ago when I said, look, Heinecke is what he is. When we beat the Colts, I said, understand what this team is. Understand what Taylor Heinecke is. We know what we have. Okay. Far from elite. But he's going to battle. He's going to give us a chance. And he did that again today. Don't mistake this for being a Taylor Heinecke apologist, because that I am not. You guys know this. He missed the throw to Logan Thomas. That wasn't under duress. That was early in the game when they were protecting. He missed. That was a touchdown. We had to settle for a field goal. But overall, he was under duress in this game. He missed some throws down by the end zone. Remember that possession where he almost threw a pick like twice over the middle of the football field? He was high. He had open Jahan Dotson. He was high. He had an open Terry. He was high. It tipped off of Dotson's fingers, and the safety Julian Love made a diving stab and almost picked it off. He missed some throws. But, one of those throws was under duress. There were other throws where guys were open, but he's jumping in the air, taking a hit as he's throwing a football. I can't wait to watch the film and see on some of these throws, like the 2 fumbles that he had, looked like he was loading up to throw it 25, 30 yards down the field to an open receiver. We'll never know. Or we won't find out until we watch the film. But the protection didn't hold up. Today wasn't on Taylor Heinecke. Yeah, he didn't make all the throws. He missed some opportunities. But this offensive line didn't give him the opportunity that he should have had against a Giant secondary that is suspect as hell. That was the frustrating part. This wasn't a Taylor Heinecke type of game where you can blame him afterwards. You want to put the blame somewhere, start with the offensive line. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, King of the North, writes, why is Korn starting over Cosme at right tackle again? He got pushed in Taylor's lap all game. They like his length. And if you believe PFF, which I don't, he's one of the highest graded tackles in the league, right tackles in the league. So for whatever that's worth, they do look at PFF. Every team in the league pays PFF. So understand that it was, they think that he's playing well. And look, he's solid. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Cornelius Lucas hasn't been playing good ball this year, because he has. But make no mistake about it, he's far from great. I don't know. And again, I'm not at practice every day. I don't know what Sam Cosme's telling the staff in terms of his hand and what his hand is or isn't doing, and his comfort level with his hand being bandaged up. But I can tell you this much. I would have put Sam Cosme in 3 weeks ago if he told me, hey, I'm good with my hand. But he made it very clear early on after he had the hand surgery, he wasn't comfortable playing with a club. He had never done it. So I understood why they wanted to wait. But once he got full usage of his hand, I thought they were going to put him back in. I thought that first game, I want to say it was against Minnesota that they were doing the platooning thing, or maybe it was Houston. I can't remember. But he played like half the snaps. Both of them took like half the snaps at right tackle. I thought after that we were going to see them put Cosme right back in there. Clearly I was wrong. Clearly Cosme is not getting his spot back. And so now they're claiming they want to get their 5 best offensive linemen on the field. That's cool. But to me, you drafted Cosme to be a tackle, give him an opportunity to be that. But, I would have loved to have seen him finish the game. One of the problems with Cosme in his 2 short years here in Washington is he's always hurt. He's always injured. And he had an injury this year. He comes back. He gets an opportunity to play at guard. And look, as an offensive lineman, you can't help when somebody rolls up on you. He got rolled up on and he didn't return to the game. But he's always hurt. He's always hurt. So they like Cornelius Lucas's length. But his problem is when he doesn't extend those go-go gadget arms and guys get into his chest, you're going to put his big ass up on skates because he doesn't have any leverage at that point. So that's part of the problem. Zach LaRoche, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Zach, writes, didn't win, but we did prevail. Stalemate. It could have been a loss. And so I told you, I don't love the tie, but I don't hate it because it could have been a loss. And I can't lie to you. There were at least 2 or 3 different times where I thought after I didn't think we were going to lose in regulation other than when it was 4th and 6, down 20-13 with, less than 2 minutes to go. I think it was like just a shade over 2 minutes to go in the game at that point. Maybe it was already the 2-minute warning, whatever the case may be. I didn't have much confidence at that point. I don't think we're going to convert this because the pressure, like they've been getting pressure a lot. And I thought that was unsurprisingly enough, they didn't bring pressure on that play. I thought they would. We hadn't been handling it all that well in the game. So many times guys are open and Heinecke doesn't have the time and he's not, I'd like to see him just know where his guy's going to be, understanding that they're blitzing and just give his guy a chance. But there were times where he'd hold on to it just a tad too long. And as he's throwing it, he's getting hit and the ball sails and you got 2 guys open. Just pick one. Just get it to them and let them do the rest. But anyway, True M&M Mullinex. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Hashtag HTTC writes, wait, double up. Let me double you up real quick. Appreciate you. Who writes, it might have been Ridgway's mom sitting on him near the end of the game. This was like our team kissing a dog's butt. I can tell you that Ridgway had some big plays in this game. I don't know what the hell you're referring to, but or what you're referencing, but Ridgway had a solid game. I can say that much. Some big stops against the run, and I think he drew a holding penalty as well. Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Rob Yu writes, what is with us and injured centers? I don't know, man. The last 2 years has just been brutal for us. at the center position. I can't explain it. Some teams have that kind of luck, though, and we're one of those teams because there's certain teams where they just can't buy a break. Like the Chargers, they can't buy a break on the defensive line. They get a guy, he starts playing well, he's out for the season. They get a guy, he stinks, they cut him, they go on to the next guy, he gets hurt. It's just been a revolving door for the Chargers on the defensive line. And for us, it's center. That's the position of choice where, we just can't catch a break. We waited and waited for Chase Roulier to come back. He finally comes back. He plays 2 whole games and gets hurt in a meaningless snap, down 9 with no chance of you coming back. He's hurt on the last snap of the damn game offensively. Done for the season. Tyler Lawson is out until week 5. We finally get him back. He helps stabilize the offensive line. And now he's gone right before the bye. And I said, just hang in there, Tyler. You're going to get some time off here, man. You've been dealing with your back and all kinds of foolishness. Just hang in there, bro. 1 more week and you'll get to rest up and you'll feel better. Couldn't make it. Couldn't make it. All right. Let's see. B-Hat, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, B-Hat, writes, I see a ton of people saying the season is over and acting sad. If the Seahawks lose today, we are chilling with the 7th seed in the playoffs. We are okay. Even if the Seahawks win, we're still in, technically, if the playoffs started today. But, again, I don't like relying on other teams to do our dirty work. They're playing the Rams today. They shouldn't lose to the Rams with, whomever they're playing. I don't even know who they're playing at quarterback this week. They shouldn't lose that game. And I don't think they are going to lose that game. Speaking of which, let me get a score check right now and see what's going on in that game in particular. Seahawks are up 17-16 in the 4th quarter, and they're at the Rams 11. They're going to win that game. Dolphins and 49ers in a close one, 23-16. Chiefs are up 24-17. Boy, my sheet is looking terrible right now. I may have pissed away all the work that I did to get back into this thing. I might have pissed it all away in 1 week. If the Dolphins don't come back and win, if the Chiefs don't, if the Bengals don't come back and win, at least I got the Raiders right now, and that's not a guarantee. That's only in the 3rd quarter. So, and I lost a bunch of games in the first half, fooling around with the Titans and the Bears and some of these trash ass teams, the Falcons. Everybody let me down today, so I need some in this back end. The Seahawks are going to win. Don't start looking and relying on other teams to do your dirty work. You want in the playoffs. You ain't backdooring your way in. I'm going to just tell y'all that right now. This ain't a backdoor situation, okay? You ain't going to moonwalk your way in at 9, 8, or 7-1. All right? This ain't the year for that shit. You want in the playoffs, you got to go grab 10 wins, period. End of discussion. That gets a lot harder by losing this game to the Giants, or tying this game to the Giants, because now, in order to get to 10, you got to win 3 out of your final 4. It ain't impossible, but that's tough, knowing that the 49ers are one of those games. The Cowboys don't know if they'll need it or not. They're one of those games. The Browns struggled today, but that's you expect that, right? This is Deshaun Watson's first game back in 2 years. You expect him to be rusty and struggle, and they won. But he'll be much better by the time we see them in a month's time. He'll be much better, much more comfortable. So, and we see these Giants again. They're fighting for their playoff lives, just like we are. Nothing's going to come easy. Don't worry about what the Seahawks are doing or what the 49ers are doing. Worry about us. If we win, we're in. Period. Lance Eubank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Lance, double up. Thank you for doubling up rights. Lou, let's be excited about 4 slinging it to 17 and 10. Like it was a playground. This bye week will help. Our young guns looked fire today they did look good, but that doesn't matter if we can't protect up front. I can't stress this enough. We were so excited about this trio of receivers and all this talent we had, the untapped potential at tight end. That's been, a really big disappointment this season. Talked about the running back position and what they would mean, and they've been really good. But all of that was hinged upon the offensive line's ability to protect, and they haven't done that this season well enough. It cost us in weeks 1 through 5. We got better weeks 6 through 12, and it reared its ugly head again in week number 13. And so because of that, instead of us having a win, rolling into the bye at 8-5, we're now 7-5-1. And offensive line, and again, you had issues up front with injuries and guys coming in and out, and Cosme didn't finish the game, and Larson didn't finish the game. Find a way. We were struggling before those dudes got hurt. I'd love to make the excuse of, oh man, we had all these guys hurt. No, we were getting our ass whooped with those guys in the game. The tight ends did not block well today at all, period. It was a collective effort. And so for as excited as we are for Terry, I think he eclipsed 1,000 yards on the season with his performance today. If he's not, he's dangerously close. Let's see. He is now, no, he's not at 1,000. He's at 900, and he came into the game at 840. And he had 105, so he's at 950, 945. So he's getting dangerously close to 1,000, to a rat on the season. And Jahan had, statistically, this might have been his best day. I'm trying to think. There were some early games on in the season, but he's never had like 7 catches in the game. It's always 3 or 2, 4 or 5. Today was 5, 4, 54. I'm not sure. And the only 2 games that it could have been in the Cowboys game too. The first 3 weeks of the season were it, in terms of, I'm curious now to see what he did in those games. The Jags game, the Lions game, and the Cowboys game. So the first 4 weeks is when he had his best. And those were 2 3-catch games. Obviously, the Jags game is the one that I think might have a chance to be his best. 3 for 40, so he wasn't even close. 3 for 40 in that game, but he had the 2 touchdown grabs, if you recall. Lions game, he had another touchdown in that game. He had 4 for 59, so that was his highest yardage-wise. He had another touchdown in that game. Cowboys game, let's see. I know he had a touchdown in that game, but I don't think he had much else because Wentz didn't have a lot of yards passing. 3 for 43. He was the leading receiver that game. That was the last game that he was healthy, because remember, he got hurt late in that Cowboys game. And then today, he had 5 for 54, I think, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, so his highest output was the Lions game, 4 for 59. But 5 for 54 is close, and another touchdown. And it's funny because he missed weeks 5 through like 9. I think he missed 5 games total: 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Right? Titans game, Bears game, Packers game, Vikings game, Colts game, Vikings game. He missed all 5 of those. Came back for the Monday night game versus the Eagles. Had the 1 catch on that opening drive, second drive actually, when we scored the touchdown. He got it down inside the 10. And he still leads the team in touchdown receptions. Man missed 5 games. And he scores another one today. It's crazy. I think he's got 5 on the season, and that's good enough for the lead on the team. That's insane. Those, to your point, our 3 guys look good, but if we don't protect, it doesn't matter. That's the thing that is frustrating. It's all hinged upon and dependent upon the offensive line doing their job, and they didn't do a good, and the tight ends as well. They're a part of this, and they didn't do a good enough job today. Derek B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, 94 third down, OT sack, should have won the game. Oh, was trash. It should have. That should have won the game. And I remember in the MOBB saying very vividly, because on that play, he gets the sack. He comes off the field. Jonathan Allen's slow to get up. Montez Sweat is out of the game already. I said, Danny Jones is playing. Danny Johnson is playing corner for. I'm like, I don't want to see the defense on the field again till after the bye. This is it. This is it. Let's win the game on offense. This is it. I wanted to win the game on the next possession. We're going to get great field position. Then you get the Curtis run. And I'm thinking, we about to do this shit, man. Hell yeah. Came back on these son of a bitches. Nope. Got sucked right into the vortex. Shit hurts, man. The opportunity was right there. I'm thinking we got it. In particular to the square. In particular. My rhymes travel like a Gore-Tex. We got sucked right into the vortex. Went right backwards. We were right there. We was close. And the vortex sucked our ass right back into it and forced us to punt like it always does. Offense didn't get it done when they needed to. See if we have any more soups. We do. CB Soldier 24. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, refs paid off. This damn Scott Turner has to go. Undisciplined football by us. We can't have more than 6 losses to make the playoffs. No, you're right. We can't. Not with this tie, because anything more, you can't get to 10 with anything more than 6 now, which is why it was okay at 10-7. Now you get to 6 losses, which is 1 more, which is why I already said you got to win 3 out of your final 4. No ifs, ands, or buts, no excuses, no equivocations. You can't hope Seattle's going to lose to the Rams at home. It's not happening. And you don't want to wait late in the season and ask, because everybody's situation is different. The Chiefs got number 1 seed locked up in the AFC. They don't give a shit about Washington needing Seattle to lose, and they're not playing their players. So you can't be relying on teams late in the season to do your dirty work, because their situation ain't our situation. They don't have to win. They already got their division locked up. They fighting for the number 1 seed. If they got 2 games on the rest of the competition, they ain't worried about playing their starters to beat Seattle because we need Seattle to lose. Hell no. So again, take care of business. Don't worry about nobody else, because I'm telling you right now, ain't nobody else worried about us. We control what we can do. So we need to control what we can control. Scott's not going anywhere, so you can save your breath. And we were undisciplined. 7 penalties is way too many for a team that has to be on schedule. Again, the officials weren't great. I thought 2 of those 7 penalties were bogus calls. Absolutely garbage. And you're like, bro, where's the penalty at? Are you kidding me right now? You really called a penalty on that? While my quarterback is getting absolutely blasted after he's thrown a football 2 seconds later, and you're standing right there and you're not going to throw the flag? Barrett Downing, my guy. VD, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, bye coming at the right time because I can't take another heart attack. Thanks, Lou, for keeping me sane. The bye, you are not lying. The bye could not have come at a better time because, boy, I'm going to tell you right now, with the injuries that we got, I don't know who the hell we were putting on the field next week. So we needed this bye, man. Guys need to get away, decompress, get healthy. Hopefully Montez Sweat, with that extra week, is able to come back after the bye. Hopefully Chase Young watch is over after the bye. Hopefully Benjamin St. Juste is back after the bye. Hopefully Sam Cosmi, I don't know what he's got going on, is back after the bye. Hopefully Trey Turner is back after the bye. Like, we got a lot of dudes that we hoping is back after the bye. But this is where we at with ours. You know, Cole Holcomb definitely not going to be back after the bye. He's been placed on IR. The question is he done for the season or not? But anyway, I digress. Dejon Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dejon Bell writes, how does the tie affect playoff picture? We'll get into that tomorrow, but just know it benefits us. Okay, the tie benefits us, of course, more so than a loss, because if we were at 6 losses, then if Seattle won today, Seattle would be ahead of us. But because we've played an extra game and that extra game is a tie, from a percentage points standpoint, we're higher than Seattle, so we would still remain in the playoffs if it started today, no matter what Seattle does and the outcome of their game. So we're fine, but we'll go over it this week. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Jimmy G is out. Did he get knocked out of the game or something? And that's crazy if you're telling me he's out and they're ahead of the Dolphins. But it's not super surprising because they know Mike. I said the same thing. They know Mike McDaniel. So it doesn't surprise me that they know. Oh, shit. The Rams have taken the lead 23-20 over the Seahawks. We got a ball game there. It doesn't surprise me that the Dolphins would struggle against that defense, and they know that offense. He came from San Francisco, so we'll see. CB Soldier, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, by the way, Louie, TH is a starting quarterback and a damn good one. Stop calling him a backup. We don't see it the same. I would argue with you, but I don't need to. He's a backup quarterback in this league and a damn good one. All right. Al Butts, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Al Butts writes, Heinecke missed some throws. Can he win a game with his arm? Don't know. We could have lost, so I will take the tie on the road before our overdue bye. Yeah, he missed some throws today, but he made some throws too. It balances itself out. At the end of the day, he didn't lose us this game, right? He didn't throw a pick today. He could have, but he didn't. He fumbled twice. One was, questionable. If we hadn't recovered it, they might have to have looked at it because I'm not sure that ball wasn't going, arm wasn't going forward with the ball, but you hate even being put in those positions. And he was consistently being put in those positions because the offensive line wasn't doing a good enough job of pushing guys around the pocket. But again, I told you this was a total team loss. The offense was dreadful at times. We were 3 of 14 on third downs. We were 1 of 2 in the red zone. We had a chance to score that touchdown, as we talked about earlier. Mr. Ron B brought up a great point of missing Logan Thomas. That was an easy walk-in touchdown. He overshoots him by 3 yards over his head. And so the offense let us down at times. When we had to have it, they delivered. But then they got ample opportunities after that. The defense gets the 3 and out in regulation to give them the football back. And we're so concerned with making sure the Giants don't have any time that we don't go aggressively. We don't go after it aggressively. We're huddling up. We're running the football. We're trying to make sure that there's not a lot of time in case we got to punt. Oh, you're making sure you got to punt because you're not being aggressive. Got the ball. Defense gets to stop. All you need is a field goal now. After not winning the toss, all you need is a field goal after the defense gets to stop. And Curtis Samuel gets you in position and you don't take advantage of it. The defense, they had their moments. You go up 10, you're feeling good. Go get a stop. Instead, they give up a field goal. The offense, you'd like to see them respond. They don't. Okay, defense, get a stop. Nope, they give up a touchdown. Made it look easy, too. And it's 10-10, just like that. And they give up 4 straight scoring possessions to allow the Giants to take a lead. I get it. The last one comes on, the heels of a Washington fumble, sudden change of possession. That's after halftime. I don't want to hear any excuses. You're not dog tired. You just had the halftime break. You should be able to come on the field and do what the Giants did to us after we forced a fumble on the first possession of the game. And that's get a stop and make them kick a field goal. And I get it. If Heinecke makes the throw, it's a touchdown, and they don't get a stop. But that shit happens. Missed throws happen. Missed opportunities happen. The Giants could have scored on the very first play of overtime. I don't know how the hell Darius Slayton got that wide open, but his ass was open. And Daniel Jones threw it slightly too high, just like he did in Washington in week 2 last year. Slightly too damn far. Could he have caught it? Yeah, like he could have last year. But guess what? He didn't. We called a break. I said all that to say this. The defense wasn't great for 4 straight possessions, and then they were great, the remainder of the game. So they had a hand in it. Special teams, you miss a kick. Gibson muffs a kickoff, and we start inside our own 10-yard line. Special teams wasn't great. You had a Percy Butler, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, blocking a guy out of bounds. Like, Just stupid shit on special teams that hurt us, killed us field position wise. So yeah, it was a total team effort to flub this one and end up having a tie instead of winning the game. Did he miss some throws? Sure, but he made some throws too. It all balances itself out. Leno Ryan Benvenite, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, at least now Scott has by the game plan slants. Well, this is what I'm excited about. He's going to have a full 2 weeks to prepare for the Giants. So I expect us to be like clicking on all cylinders after the bye. Like the Giants don't stand a chance. Scott's going to be pulling all kinds of week 1 trickeration out of his bag. You got a whole 2 weeks to prepare for their ass. They're in trouble. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Scott's going to have this shit firing in week 15. Problem is we needed to steal this one in week 13, and we had our chances. Let's see. Will Kavanaugh, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, Washington will find a way to lose next weekend. Not this year. In past years, sure. Not this year. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, the chat was killing me today. To combat more emotional ups and downs than a bipolar roller coaster. The chat was on one tonight. That was one of the first times where I was like mentally fatigued with the chat to the point where I just was more focused on the game. And then if I had something to say, I would type it. But reading that shit had me like vexed. And I know a lot of them are trolling. Like, it's one troll per chat, and the troll is Trevor. Trevor's a troll every week. We know what we're getting, so it's easy to ignore him. Nothing he says I put any credence into, nor stock into, because he's a troll, right? But we know that. Everybody in the chat knows, so you don't even pay attention to Trev and what he's saying. Everybody else, though, was on, not everybody else, but a number of different people were on 10 today. I was really disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Will Diggs, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Charles Leno was trash today. I don't know if he was trash today. I don't think he was consistent today, but that's Charles Leno. Charles Leno will be sparkling for 3-4 weeks, and then he'll have a rough game, and then everybody will say he's trash. He's an above average starting left tackle. Barely above average, but he's above average. You could do a hell of a lot worse than Charles Leno. I got no complaints about what we're getting out of him. I would love to upgrade, but you can't upgrade the entire offensive line in one offseason. He's not broken. We don't need to fix him right now. We got other pressing issues on this team, like center. Like, you got to start thinking about center replacements for Chase Rouillet. He hasn't been able to stay healthy in 2 years. All right, you got to start thinking about that. We got to upgrade guard, and then you got to start looking at right tackle too. So I wouldn't really be focused on him as much. Spence Collis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, I am more worried about Young mentally than Jury. I don't know what that is, but injury. Okay, you meant injury. Look, you should be worried about Chase Young mentally because Chase Young is worried about Chase Young mentally. I'd be concerned with him mentally as well because I think his knee structurally is good enough for him to play. I think he's more concerned with the mental aspect of it. So I think that is something to be concerned about. I hope he's ready after the bye. I'll just say that. Cruising 26, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being my guy. Cruising 26 writes, that 4th and 6 play will haunt me all day. It should, because we thought the game was over. 4th and 6. Look, once he made that play, I said I thought we were gonna win the game. And I had told the mob when the score was 20-13 before the Giants took the field for their last real offensive possession of regulation. I told the MOBB, I typed in, I said, we about to go 90 yards because we forced the stop and we got I was thinking this. I didn't say it until after we got the defensive stop. But we got the stop, and the punt was fair caught at the 10, and it went to commercial break, and I typed in 90-yard drive, and we going for 2 in the win, a la 2012 when we didn't get the 2-point conversion. This year we were going for 2, and we were going to win the game. Not unfortunately, we scored so quickly. Because you only go for 2 in the win if there's like seconds left, like 16 seconds left, and they don't have enough time to respond. You go for 2 and you don't get it with a minute and some change left. Now the Giants just have to run out the clock. They approach it differently. And if you do get it, all they need is a field goal, and they're still approaching it the same way they would if the game is tied, but it's just different. You want to walk it off with a 2-pointer. So that was taken out of the equation when we scored with like a minute and 20-something seconds left. 4th and 6 should haunt you because that was the ball game. You get that stop, you win. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Metaphor writes, that 4th down scramble was Robert-esque. The only difference was, and that it was crazy because Robert scrambled to his left in that play in that game the same way that Heinecke did, but Robert kind of dropped to his knees, and it was caught by Logan Paulson. But we lost that game. We scored a touchdown on that drive. He throws a dime to Santana, and then we give up to Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz gave it up to Victor Cruz on the very next play, 75 yards over the top. We lost that game. This one, at least we tied. At least we did that. I know Robert is your boy, so of course you would bring him up. J. Kurt 20, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. J. Kurt 20 writes, clearly they don't trust Taylor. If you don't trust your quarterback, then you're playing the wrong way. I got the remote. Clearly they don't trust Taylor. If you don't trust your quarterback, then you're playing the wrong QB. Ron was livid after the game. You could tell he took shots at Taylor in his post-game press conference. Clearly, they don't trust Taylor. If you don't trust your quarterback, then you're playing the wrong. And look, I can't wait to hear what is said there. Because we can hear the same press conference and we can hear 2 totally different things. You could hear Ron taking shots at Taylor, and I could just hear him being frustrated by the outcome, but not necessarily taking shots at Taylor. I'll see how I feel about it, but I'll tell you this much. Just like you just said, if that's how you feel, if you feel like Taylor is hindering you from making play calls, then he shouldn't be in the game. It's as simple as that. I said the same thing last week against Atlanta in a win. If you don't feel confident enough, because I thought there were situations in the game where they clearly did not trust Taylor Heinecke, and it showed, and we were too conservative. And if you're going to be conservative, you put yourself in a position to have things like today happen. And so I'm anxious to see what Ron said and hear what he said to see if we agree or if we're hearing 2 different things. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Ethan writes, our side-to-side game is non-existent. O-line slow. We don't have athletes on the line. That is correct. That's why a lot of the screen game doesn't work. We don't do a great job of selling screen anyway. You're supposed to lose on those plays. We block guys like we trying to protect the quarterback on screens. That's dumb. You're supposed to let them get to the quarterback so you can get out in front and block and get those guys out of the way. But to your point, we're not an athletic group on the offensive line. So that's what the screen game is really hinged upon, is athleticism and guys being able to get out and make those blocks. And we don't have those guys. So Seattle just scored a touchdown with 27 seconds left. They're up 27-23. They're going to win that game. Like I told you, don't look for anybody to do you any favors. You want to win, you got to take care of business yourself. Don't look for teams to bail you out. Brew Cuts, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, my guy, King Louie, what'd he do? What'd he do with you, Brew? He says, how would you feel if they used Wentz in conjunction with Heinecke? This ain't college, man. I wouldn't like that at all. The NFL is no place for a 2-quarterback system. I mean, that's even dicey when you see the Saints used to trot in Taysom Hill with Drew Brees. Like, you get into a rhythm as a quarterback, and now they got you out at wide receiver, or they taking you out the game altogether, and then you come back in. Like, that's tough, man. And don't nobody want to be a part. Like, and if you're gonna go with one or the other, there's no reason to go with 2 guys. It's not like Heinecke adds this crazy dimension that Wentz doesn't, to where you need him in. Like, Taysom Hill is the polar opposite of any pocket passer because he's gonna run that bitch, and he adds such a dynamic ability as a runner that it makes sense to have him in conjunction with a pocket passer. Heinecke is a smaller version of Wentz with a lesser arm, but slightly better mobility. It's not like Heineke's got crazy wheels like he's Lamar or something, and we got to use 2 different quarterbacks. Nah, I don't think that's the situation at all. You either going with Heinecke or you going with Wentz. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, we need to draft at least 2 offensive linemen next year. I'd agree with that. If you're not going to do something in free agency, in conjunction with that, you need to, at a bare minimum, draft 2 offensive linemen. So we'll see what they decide to do. Leno Ryan Benvenite, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, happy for the bye. Heard quite a few injuries to key people. St. Juice and Chase are back, hopefully. Tight end Rodgers, they put him on IR too. I don't think he is eligible to come back after the bye. So I think he may have to miss 1, maybe 2 more games. They put him on IR after the Vikings game, I believe. So he did not play in Houston, I don't think. So he missed 3 games. So he'd have to miss at least 1 more before he could come off of IR. So I don't think he is going to be back. And I think we miss him. We get nothing out of Cole Turner, except he had a holding penalty today. We get nothing out of him. And he's a rookie. Like, I've cut those guys slack. You're asking a lot from a guy that's just made a switch from receiver to tight end and still learning the nuances of the position. Hasn't been healthy for a lot of the season. Hasn't been up. And so you're asking a lot. And I realize that. So, but so is Amani Rodgers. And he's been really good. So, Rob Yu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Rob Yu writes, that's no good. The consistency of 94 and the growth of 52 is great. It's fun watching dudes, right before your very eyes, do the things that they're doing. And 94 is just ridiculous, man. This is what, when we drafted him, this is what I wanted from him. This is why I was so disappointed in the pick, because this is what I wanted him to be earlier in his career. You listen to Derek B, and this is who he's always been. False. He was never this big of an impact player as a pass rusher. He was always good against the run. Stout, with knife in the backfield. But they finally have turned him loose, him and Jonathan Allen, as one gappers. They were so entrenched in that Alabama 2-gapping mentality that it was going to be hard for them to really take their game to that next level until they got out of that mindset of, hey, you got a 2-gap. So you can't be super aggressive going up the field. You really need to make sure your gap sound. Go be a 1-gap penetrator. And that's what those dudes are. And like Allen had a play where he took the Gates. I think he's the center for the Giants. Took Gates and walked his ass 4 yards back into the backfield. Bench pressed his ass. And, Saquon ran right into the back of Gates, and we ended up stopping Saquon for like a 3-4 yard loss. And that's all Jonathan Allen. Like, these dudes are beasts, man. But Payne he's on a whole nother level, man. Whole nother level. Lance Eubank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Lance writes, can't win games consistently with only 2 linebackers. Can't win games with a QB that is inconsistent. Consistencies are constantly consistent. This is who we are. So at this point, there is no going back. There is no changing anything. We are who we are. And the only thing they can change is they can take Taylor Heinecke out of the lineup and insert Carson Wentz. But you do that, you run the risk of certain plays that are being made, not being made, and the mobility factor. That was the biggest thing. Like, if you told me Wentz was still mobile, I'd say, okay, make the switch. You got to be mobile in this league. Have to. That's not optional, especially with the way our offensive line is configured, with all the injuries we've dealt with, and with how some of these guys are just really not great athletes at this point of their career. You got to be mobile back there. Wentz is not. So I don't think it's a good idea to put him back there. But you know what you're getting out of the quarterback position. You know what you're getting out of Heinecke. So it is what it is. Justin Ryan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Justin writes, I think it'll all come down to who wins that next Giants game, who makes the wild card in the playoffs. It could. The Giants' schedule isn't easy down the stretch, but part of it not being easy was playing us, and they just got a tie. And then when they play us again, we're going to have to take care of business. That's what it's all going to ultimately boil down to, is we're going to have to take care of business. This is why we talk about home games late in the season. Our last 3 out of 4 are at home. Somebody earlier, I think it was King of the North, said we don't play well at home. I'm not trying to hear that shit. Figure it out at home. You beat the Falcons at home. You beat the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. Figure it out, okay? Figure out a way to win all 3 of these home games late in the season and make it to the playoffs. Find a way to get it done. Eric Bass, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Eric writes, what do you think about going for it on 4th and short in the first half? We had momentum and probably could have scored. Just a thought. I wanted points. I thought it was an opportunity wasted, but you can't get the Giants to fumble and then come away with nothing. And there was a possibility that that could have occurred. I already don't like Scott Turner in short yardage situations. I think it was like 4th and 3. I don't like Scott Turner in short, because that's part of the reason we struggle in 2-point situations. Doesn't have a great, call sheet for that specific situation, needing 2 or 3 yards. Hence, we struggle in the red zone. Hence, we struggle on 2-point conversions. So I don't like going for it there and coming away with nothing. You got the momentum because you forced a turnover. You give that momentum back if you don't score there. So I was all in favor of taking the points in that situation. You hate the fact that you had an opportunity and Logan is open and Taylor missed him, but you can't go chasing those points by going for it on 4th down. That's not going to help you. Brush the 4. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, the worst part about it all is we know our offensive line is garbage. Only one person to build around, which is Rouillet, and can't get rid of 72 because he's nice. 72 is a leader. He's a quality guy in the locker room, but he's a solid player. Let's not act like he's straight trash. He's not. All right. He's not Trent Williams. We've been spoiled at left tackle over the years, depending on how long you've been a fan of this team. There was the one little stretch there where Tyler Columbus and when Robert Griffin III was here, when Trent Williams would get injured or he was suspended, and we had bums out there at left tackle. But make no mistake about it, we've been pretty spoiled at tackle between Chris Samuels for a decade almost. I think he played 9 years, and then kind of having to go through 1 or 2 years of bad tackle play, and then getting Trent Williams. We've been pretty fortunate from a tackle standpoint. So I think Leno's fine. He's not Trent Williams, but he's fine. We got some worries on the offensive line. I think he's one of the far from the most, he's the furthest of the guys we need to be worried and concerned about. I'll just say that. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, OG, triple OG writes, not complaining. When TH runs, it's always positive. Look, he had an opportunity. He had opportunities today. I thought he ran when he needed to run. I thought he extended when he needed to extend. There were some times where I thought he stood back there a little bit longer, but I like that he got to his check down early. There was one throw he threw to B-Rob out of the backfield, and B-Rob's kind of just carrying out his little swing, and Heinecke throws it to him immediately, and he looks up and the ball's coming, and B-Rob catches it. He's like, it surprises him, and he catches it and ends up getting like 8 yards. And Heinecke getting to the check down was huge because you need him to do that in that kind of situation, and he did that. Lance Eubank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Lance Eubank writes, people blaming Leno for that sack and not seeing the field. Scott was using the tight ends to block the edge all game. Our tight end never went in motion. He wasn't terrible today. He got pushed back a couple of times, but he blocked down one play on the free sack from Kayvon Thibodeau. I really don't know what was going on there, but he did his job. But clearly somebody told him to block down, and he did. That gave up the sack. And then the other sack wasn't on him. That was on, Logan Thomas. I think it was John Bates. Might have been Logan Thomas. But the tight end got beat. Like that wasn't on him. The tight end got beat. So yeah, there was a lot going on there. Derek B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Derek B, double up. Thank you for doubling up. Right. 4 is 1-5-1, and 11 is 1-4 with 36 plus pass attempts in Scott's offense. Sounds about right. Which is why I said I don't need more of Heinecke. I just need him to do more with the attempts that he's getting. We're in agreement on that. I don't need more of Taylor Heinecke. I just need more of the opportunities that he's given. The great example, the throw to Logan Thomas should have been a touchdown. The throw a week ago to Terry McLaurin should have been a touchdown. I mean, hell, even the throw to Terry for the touchdown early in the game, that's a great one-hand grab. Like, nobody's talking about that. It's a great one-hand grab by Terry. That's not a great throw by Taylor. But Taylor was scrambling for his life on that play. Just for him to even be able to elude a rusher and still make that throw sidearm, that's a great play by him, just to even give Terry a chance. But yes, to your point, we're not good in those situations. This is when you have what we have at quarterback, less of them is more a lot of times. So it is what it is. Mike Stevenson II, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Big Lou, how you think we look today, my guy? Great. I thought that the Titans had a chance until their receiver got hurt. Treylon Burks. That was their chance. And they were moving the football. They had success. And then he has that beautiful touchdown grab, but he gets knocked out of the game in the process. And they didn't score another. They scored a field goal after that. But the offense was never going to be the same after that, because he is to their offense what A.J. Brown is to your offense. So y'all dominated after that. Y'all dominated. Easy does it. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Easy does it, writes. Lou was in the building for the game, and you described it perfectly. Very fortunate. They had us beat, and we're a better team. The environment in FedEx in 2 weeks should be lit. I hope you're right, because the Giants always, always, always in all caps, just like Eagles fans, always, always, always in all caps, make the trip down for the game. So you want the environment to be lit, we better show up. Washington fans better show up and show out for that game. And I hate to say it, but I don't trust our fans. I trust the ones that always come, that always are there to show up and be loud like they were against Atlanta. But I don't trust us to show up in numbers. I expect Giants fans to be there in good numbers, a good turnout for them to make it feel like less of a road game. But we were fortunate. Make no mistake about it. We were very fortunate. Spence Collies, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Spence writes, thankful Mr. Tucker, not a Giant, makes that drunk. Both teams, right? If our kicker, has the consistency of Justin Tucker, he doesn't miss from 52. But yeah, to your point, I mean, it doesn't have to just be Tucker. Could have been Harrison Butker, the Chiefs kicker, even though he just missed a field goal. The Raiders kicker, I think the two best kickers in the league right now are the Raiders kicker from Auburn, Daniel Carlson, and Justin Tucker. I think those are the two best kickers in the league right now. So better be fortunate that it wasn't one of those two dudes, or it's game time. Facts. Going Commando, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Going Commando, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, You know it was a bad game when I'm in a good mood after a tie. Sloppy, but didn't let another East team jump ahead. OT is good experience for rookies. I hate that we didn't win the game, but this isn't overtime. Isn't the playoffs? Like I can't say that it's good experience for the rookies. Like, hey, they need to play in an overtime game. No, you don't have to play in an overtime game. Playoffs is different. You, in order to get where you want to go, win what you ultimately are playing for, you have to play in the playoffs. So that experience is vital. Playing in overtime, not necessarily something that you have to do. Like, you could go multiple years and not play. Oh, they just won the game with a throw by Joe Burrow. Well, at least I got one right. Jesus. Raiders need to hold on. They scare me to death over there, but looks like the Bengals will do what they always do every year, and that's beat Kansas City. You don't have to have experience in overtime because you don't have to play in overtime games. So I didn't need overtime today. We could have won this game in regulation. Frankie, yo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, the spin move that was better than Jahan's today was the turn the mob chat took after the TD. You ain't lying. That was a hell of a spin move they did because they went from up 10, talking all kinds of cold, hard cash, to tied at 10, to the defense is trashed and the season is over. They went up 20-13. You would have thought we had lost 6 out of 7 and the Fire Ron Rivera chants were about to start up again. And, that this team sucked. All that, the momentum and all the good vibes, shit went out the window with that group, But a lot of times, and I try not to be one of those guys because just like with Kirk Cousins when he was here, most people wanted Kirk here. But the people who didn't were much louder than the people who didn't want Kirk here. Those people were loud and proud, and they made sure every chance they got, they would tell you Kirk Cousins is trash. We got to get rid of him. That's how it was in the mob. Most of the people, they get it. They understand. But the people that are the ones that get pissed off and they're emotional, like Carl Thomas, they're typing, man. Their fingers move faster than the Roadrunner. So you hear from more of those people. But most of the mob, they get it. They understand. All right. Come on, Raiders. I hate asking garbage teams to do anything. I done lost so many games today. I got Cincinnati. That's a big one. Boy, I need the Raiders to come through for the kid. True Eminem Mullinex, hashtag HTTC. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, hey, Lou, you missed my other 2. I read 2 from you. Okay. I read 2 from you. Now, if you had like 4, then I missed 2. But if you only had 2 previous to this, I read both of those. Anyway. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, relax, relate, release, Lou. I'm actually all right with the tie. Your boy Sly Guy should have hit the field goal, but oh well. As long as we win in 2 weeks, we're all right. We didn't lose, Lou. I understand that. I get that. It's a novel concept, but I can't allow that to be my mindset. Like, I'm not going. I told you I'm not ragging on Sly. I'd love for him to make that kick, but he's been so good for us. He's extended some grace, but ultimately, if you really want to win in this league, you need your kicker to make those kicks. That wasn't from 57. That was a 52-yard field goal. I didn't even make that kick. I thought it was good, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know it wasn't good until the officials waved it off. I thought the kick was actually good. Then they showed it from the opposite angle, and it clearly wasn't any good. But I thought it was good. So I was actually really disappointed that he didn't make the kick, because I knew in my mind we were going to get another opportunity to take the lead. And if we make this field goal, cut it to 4, we're going to be playing for an opportunity to take the lead and win. And it sucked that he didn't make that kick, but it is what it is. We got to win in 2 weeks. You guys are right. And we didn't lose the game, but still. Richard Kale Warts, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Richard writes, hey, Lou, what does the playoffs look like? We'll talk more about that during the course of the week. I'll have, you know, graphics. I will go through it thoroughly, as I always do every Tuesday, right? We'll go through it thoroughly on Tuesday on the CNN. So be on the lookout for that. But just know that the tie ensures that we will still be in the playoffs this week. Now, if Seattle wins next week without us playing a game, then they can overtake us. And the Giants would still be in, but we will be out. But as far as the playoff picture is concerned, when you're watching Sunday Night Football tonight, we'll still be in the playoff picture because of the tie. All right. Let's see. Got a super chat here from Barry Curtis Jr. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Barry Curtis Jr. writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, if the coaching staff is going to stick with Heinecke, they're going to have to start trusting him or it will cost us. We have the weapons. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, and I said it last week. I somewhat foreshadowed what was to come this week with what I said last week. I said this exact thing last week. If you're going to have Heinecke in there, you're going to have to trust him. You can't save Heinecke from himself by calling plays that stunt the growth of this offense, because you're protecting, all in the pursuit of protecting one guy. Either you're going to trust number 4 wholeheartedly and give him the opportunities that you would give to Wentz or anybody else that you put back there, or you're going to have to take him out of the lineup. You can't have it both ways. You can't feel like Heinecke makes these magical plays and the players are rallying behind him, but when it comes to the clutch and in the trenches and it comes to a key decision in the game, you're going to err on the side of caution, like 3rd and 10, knowing that you're not getting the football back if you punt. It's 3rd and 10 and you're going to run a draw. If that's how you feel about Heinecke and that's what you're going to do because he's at quarterback, then you need to put Carson Wentz back in the game. Now, it may not have a positive impact on this team, but at least you won't be caught in the game scared, because scared money don't make money. You ain't going to win a lot of games playing scared. You'll tie some games. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Wilfredo, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, it's not a loss, I guess. I can tell you this one feels a lot different than the one in London when we lost to, or when we tied the Bengals. That felt like a loss. I remember, because we should have won. That was a chip shot field goal. We dominated that game. It felt like we should have won and we didn't. This one doesn't feel that way. I told you, you should feel fortunate that we tied this game. So I feel totally different leaving this game, but it's still a tie. It's not a win. Disappointed, but we would still control our own destiny. I hate when people say that. You don't control destiny. Destiny's already determined. You control the outcome. We still control the outcome of our season. If we do what we need to do, we can still control the outcome of our season. Need to take advantage of this bye week and come out swinging on the midgets. Agreed. JP, my guy, John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. John writes, most poorly officiated game in the history of the league. That's not true. Okay. We've seen some bad ones. I know you were there in person. And so, yeah, that's pretty frustrating, but this is far from the worst officiated game in the history of the NFL. Hell, the Cowboys game was way worse in terms of officiating in week number 4 than this one was. This one isn't even close to that game. So as far as I'm concerned, this one wasn't a great officiated game, but it wasn't the worst either. He says, trade the farm, trade the farm, trade the farm. We won't win until we get a real QB. We won't win big. You're not wrong. And I've said this. You don't have to trade the farm because, again, the teams that are going to be up there to draft, one of the top QBs in the draft, they're not trading that pick away because they need that quarterback. The Texans need the Alabama quarterback, Bryce Young. They're not trading that pick. And the team that's probably second, more likely than not, they need a quarterback too. And so they're going to take CJ Stroud, right? So the likelihood is you're not going to be able to get your hands on one of those two. Those are the only two, and nobody's can't miss. But those are the two that are the closest. Then everybody else is a crapshoot. So we'll see what happens. Thomas Boykin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thomas writes, be pretty nice if the slide guy stops being shaky on these field goals. All we had to do is play close games. And so his foot is super impactful on our final score a lot. It is. And we're going to need him to make big kicks. And I can tell you this, he's made some big kicks, but I'm not too sure about him in like pressure situations. It seems like most of his misses, he doesn't have many. I think he's only missed like 3 this season. He missed some extra points. He missed like 2 extra points. But I think he's only missed 3 field goals this year. Like a lot of is made of Joey Sly. But I think he's like 8 of 11 on the season. I'm gonna check right now. But I feel like all 3 of his misses have come in crucial situations when we've been down or the score is tied or something like that. When he makes long kicks, it's because we're up and he's kicking with momentum. And so it's easier to kick those types of field goals. I want to check and see where he is right now. I think Sly's like 10 of 13 or something like that on the season. He is this season. This season on field goals, is he really 18 to 20? That was coming into the game. He missed one. So he's now 20 of 23, I believe, on the season. He kicked 2 today and missed 1. So yeah, he's only missed 3 kicks on the season. Didn't feel like it was that many, but he's 20 of 23. So he's not bad, right? It's right in line. He's 90% on the season. Now it's under 90. It's probably like 80, 88% on the season now. Like, it's not, he's a good kicker. But I feel like all 3 of his misses have been like pressure kicks. We need it. And he hasn't responded well to those situations. I feel that way. I could be wrong. But anyway, I digress. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tony P56 writes, playoff push could go to the last play of the last game. It could with us. Nothing is out of bounds with this team. Everything is within reason. Philip B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Philip B writes, people tripping after a tie. QB did enough to win. Defense got gas in the second, and OC made questionable calls along with officials, but never put it on officials. All of what you said is true. That's a good play by the Chargers. The defense definitely got, lit up for 4 straight possessions. Heinecke made enough plays, but he missed some plays. Again, you can't overlook that. Even if you're a part of the Heinecke hive, you can't overlook that he missed the throw to Logan Thomas. In a game that ends up tied, that's 4 points versus having to settle for a field goal. Opportunities across the board. Twin D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Twin D, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, all right, that game's over now. Raiders won. So I needed that one. I said in the mob chat that our typical 17 to 20 point output would not win us this game today. You were right. And I remember you typing that on very early in the game. Luckily, 20 points didn't lose us the game today. For not fumbling on that last snap helped save the game to me. Again, it was huge. But a lot of times quarterbacks in this league don't fumble upon impact. If you want them to fumble, you got to actually hit their arm or hit the ball, jar it loose. He didn't go for the ball at all. Again, go back and watch that sack. He shoves him like it's an aggressive shove, no doubt. But he didn't even wrap him up. Like, he shoved him really hard, and Heinecke went down, but he could have fumbled that, to your point. Like, he didn't know he was coming. So that easily could have been a fumble. But he should have been aggressively attacking the football in that situation. That's a huge play. Really? I'm not saying your name. Thank you for the super chat. Fat American, greatly appreciate you. Fat American writes, Lou, F this team. I'm going back to 2005. We'll see you in 2 weeks, Fat American. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, that Heinecke play on 4th down, he is an enigma. Yes, he is. But look, He's really not an enigma because we know who he is. An enigma is hard to figure out. Heineke's not hard to figure out. I've said that Taylor Heinecke, with the game on the line, I trust him more than any other quarterback we've had in Washington in quite some time. I also said Heinecke in quarters 1 through 3. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what I'm going to get, but I know he's going to give us a fighting chance. Whatever happens, he's going to turn it over once, whether it's his fault or not. There's going to be one turnover. There was one. Okay, we know that. We know he's going to miss some throws here and there, right? We know that he struggles throwing to his left more so than not, all right? Which is the Logan Thomas throw for a touchdown. That's to his left, all right? We're not making this stuff up. We know that these things exist, but we know he's got mobility, and we know if the game is on the line, this guy's going to give us a chance. All those things came to fruition. He's really not an enigma to me. I know what I'm getting. That fourth down play was huge. Miss Perry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, and thank you for keeping everyone sane, Miss Perry, as well. She says, like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. So with that, I'm going to take this opportunity to also use that public service announcement to remind you to hit the like button, to subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content. And if you already are, or you just have, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Miss Perry also super chats. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Early supers are in. Shout out to Kevin, the PRF. I will check those out right now and see what we have and see what you guys have had to say. Kevin, the PRF. See, I don't know if we missed a bunch of them. I don't feel like I missed a bunch today. All right, that's one I missed. That one I just read, but I think he did it again because he didn't think I was going to get to it. That one, and then that's it. So not many missed today. So Twin D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Twin D writes, I just knew Heinecke was going to fumble when I saw Thibodeau had that beat on him on that sack. Holding on to the ball saved the game to me. I agree. I thought for sure he was going to fumble. I thought the game was over. And I told you, it was the way Thibodeau sacked him that saved him. If Thibodeau comes in aggressively reaching for that football, that thing's coming out. He said, and then he super chatted again. I knew 17 to 20 points scored by us would not be enough to win the game today. Luckily, 20 was enough not to lose us the game as well. Facts. I mean, we just read that one again, but I'm reading it because you super chatted it twice, so I'm gonna read it twice. That was a huge, play, and I'm with you. My final score was 23, and look what would have won the game, 23. I felt like 23 was a necessity to win today's game, and we had our opportunities. Missed a field goal, should have scored a touchdown. We had, got close and didn't get quite in the field goal range twice. We had our opportunities in this game to get to 23 or more, and we didn't. And that's been our problem all season long, is we failed to take advantage of those opportunities and put ourselves in a position to score more than 20, 17 or 20 points. Joe Allen, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Joe writes, Scott Turner's offense should be cleaned out. Scott Turner's office should be cleaned out before he lands. You're on the Giants 40 and can't get 5 yards. Yeah, that's frustrating. And again, that was my biggest problem, in terms of the play calling. That was the drive that the sequence of plays. I think I said this already. That was the sequence of plays that I thought was his most questionable on the afternoon. That, and then the give up at the end. But that one is a little bit more understandable. That the sequence when you're at the 40 with all the momentum in the world and all you need is 5 yards and you go backwards instead of forwards, I had a problem with that. I couldn't agree with you more on that one, Joe. Now, I don't think his office should be cleaned out. But True Eminem Mullinex, hashtag HTTC. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I like Ridgeway near the end of the game. The Giants O-lineman sat on him and he couldn't get up. You'll see I saw a guy sit on him. I saw that play. I saw him. The guy blocked him and he's like squatting on him, like literally sitting down on him. I saw that at the end of the game. But Ridgeway, like I said, he played well in this game, especially stopping the run. Drew a holding penalty. I think it was him who drew that holding penalty. And they were getting away with that all game, where Jones would boot and that guy on the end trying to preserve the edge for Jones so he could get outside. They were holding. Montez Sweat got held like that. I saw Jonathan Allen get held like that. I saw Deron Payne get held, and they didn't call any of them. They only called one. RVA Monarch. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, why do our drives die between the 40-yard lines all the time? I call that the vortex. If you watch film, then you know it's just what it is, man. We get into the 40s, and for some reason, we get stagnant. Play calling changes. We don't block. We miss an assignment. It's a lot of shit that goes on when we get into the vortex. Let's see. Twin D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Twin D writes, LT, you're joking about your expectations of how we'll perform against the Giants post-bye, right? It'll be the same type of game. It's what we do. What did I say that would make you think that we're going to do anything other than fight them tooth and nail? I don't recall saying anything like we were going to blow them out. You might have misheard me, speak. But I expect every time we play a team, first of all, every game we play in is going to be just like this one we played today. You've seen that. It's enough of a sample size. We've played 13 games this season. We're 5-0-1 in games decided by 6 or less, or we're 5-2, 5-2-1 in games decided by a touchdown or less. That's 8 games of 13. And the other games that weren't decided by that, we didn't win them, except for the Texans game. We lost to the Cowboys. We lost to the Lions. We lost to the Eagles. If we're going to win, it's going to be close. So why would I expect the second Giants game to be anything other than what it was today? It's going to be close. We're going to be biting our nails on pins and needles, all of those different, adages that you've heard over the years. That's going to apply to the next game. And the game after that against the 49ers, and the game, unless they beat our ass, and the game after that against the Browns, and the game after that against the Dallas Cowboys. It's what we do. Like you said, it's what we do. Trucking with it. Hey. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, can we agree Taylor has been trashed in the last 6 games? No, we can't agree on that. Can we agree that Taylor's missed some things in the last? Yeah, absolutely. He misses something every game. He turns it over almost every game. But we can't agree that he was trash. No. Can't do that. Jake Hutton, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, with the amount of missed opportunities and bogus penalties, I'm happy to walk out of this one with a tie. With a week of rest, Chase Young, and a new officiating crew, I like our chances in 2 weeks. You don't know who the officiating crew is going to be. It could be the ladies' man, and he don't like us. You don't know what the hell the officiating crew is going to be assigned to our game against the Giants. That was the one that lit us up in Dallas. That's one of the worst officiating games I've seen, all season. But again, we suffered a lot of injuries today, and so we got to see the severity of those injuries. We got guys coming back, but I don't know if the pluses that are going to be added outweigh the negatives from the injuries that we sustained today. So just got to wait and see. I'll tell you this. I'm glad the bye week's here. That's for sure. That is for sure. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Who writes, man, call up Casey Robach or something, please. You got to get out of 2005, dude. Casey Robach. Oh, man. Kevin the PRF, thank you for the super chat. Shout out to my guy, Kevin the PRF, for blessing me with those early supers. Greatly appreciate you, as always. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Kevin the PRF, writes, we keep going 25 rounds about TH4. Meanwhile, here's the 49ers on their third-string quarterback looking like a juggernaut. It's coaching, man. I told y'all, Kyle Shanahan. And 2/3 of the fan base that exists now were here back in 2012 wanting to run Kyle Shanahan out of Washington because of nepotism. The dude is an offensive genius. Call it whatever the hell you want to call it. I call it osmosis from being around his dad his entire life. The dude is an offensive wizard. One of my favorite coaches to watch. And yes, they had Brock Purdy, a rookie from Iowa State, out there stroking that thing today. Hadn't played a single snap in the NFL. He's out there doing the Dolphins dirty. Don't tell me it ain't coaching. I ain't trying to hear the shit. Let's see. Addy in Stereo. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Addy in Stereo writes, what's the minimum record you think we could finish with and still get into the playoffs? Keep up the excellent content. Love the channel. 10-6-1. Bare minimum. You lose, you go 9-7-1, you're not making the playoffs. Unless both the Giants and Seahawks implode, because nobody from the back is catching us. Green Bay, none of those teams from the back are catching us. Those teams are dead. The Lions aren't catching us. None of those teams are catching us, okay? The Falcons were dealt a serious blow. They should have beat the Steelers today. They lost. They're not, no one, if it's not the teams we've been talking about, Niners, Seahawks, Giants, Commanders. That's the four. Four teams fighting for 3 playoff spots. 2 wild cards, and someone's going to win the division in the NFC West, okay? That's 4 teams, 3 spots. Someone's going to be left without a chair, okay? The Seahawks are going to win 10 games, okay? They're at 7 right now. I can't see them winning 11, which means if we get to 10, they get to 10, we'll win we'll win the tiebreaker because of the bye. I mean, because of the tie. So the Seahawks could win 11. And if they win 11, they get in. But I've been saying this all along. It's the Giants I'm staring at. But the Giants can't be the team that we move out of the way if we don't do our part to move them out of the way. We got to beat them. We can't expect everybody else to beat the Giants. We have to beat them. We got another shot. We best take care of business or else. 10-6-1 is the record. Not today. I'm busy. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, we played prevent offense in OT. Felt like it. Felt like it. At times. I wasn't happy with some of the defense at times, but it ultimately didn't cost us. So not as much a complaint there, but yeah, definitely felt like we could have been better down the stretch. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Wilfredo. I think that's a double up. Might be a triple up. Either way, he writes, how do you like Anthony Richardson? I don't. Has crazy potential, and since Ron doesn't seem to like the idea of playing a rookie QB, could be a good developmental project. We swing for a Derek Carr for 2 years. I'm good on Anthony Richardson. There are a lot of quarterbacks that I really personally am not a fan of that maybe in this draft. He's a guy that could go back to school. He does not have to come out. I think it'd be in his best interest to go back to school and get better, a la Dak Prescott. But knowing him, somebody's going to get in his ear, tell him he should go to the NFL. Hey, you're going to be a first. They'll tell him, bro, you're not a first-round pick quarterback. He's not a first-round pick quarterback. And so if I were him, I'd go back, work on my mechanics, get better as a passer. We know you're an athlete and you can do some special things outside of the pocket. I would get better as a passer before I entered into the NFL. But I don't think he's going to do it. He's going to come in and he's going to flame out and his career is going to be over. He's going to be playing in one of these alt leagues like the XFL or the USFL in 3 years if he comes out. So I hope so I just told you I don't like him, but we'll see. Derek Carr isn't going to be available this off. They just won again today. That's 3 in a row. They were a 2-win team 3 weeks ago. They've since won 3 straight. They won't be in a position to draft a quarterback. So he saved his job. Wilfredo Elias, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Wilfredo writes, and I know you don't like talking draft so early, but I'm just curious. LOL. Thanks for all you do. And no problems. You're not the only one. There are a lot of people that ask draft questions, even though you know, and you said it, I'm not a big draft guy, not this time of the year, not when we're actually good or decent, I should say. No, I'm not looking to talk draft at all. We got plenty of time to do that. Twin D, Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Twin D, writes, the sole purpose of this super chat is to give props to Miss Perry. She's a mob asset in a gym. I'm going to read that one again because that one needs to be read again. Twin D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Twin D, writes, the sole purpose of this super chat is to give props to Miss Perry. She's a mob asset in a gym. That's a OV from me. That's an OV from me. Condo P can't begin to describe the importance of what you mean to the MOBB and the Louie Tee Network as well. Big shout outs to my girl Condo P for her contribution. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy Michael White. Writes, double up, thank you for doubling up. Right. I personally think that the worst calls by the officials were the ones that were blatantly missed or just wasn't called, but not the reason we tied. The officials had their part in this, but as I mentioned at the top of the show, they weren't the reasons. They weren't the reason. They were a part of the reason, right? But they weren't the sole reason why we didn't win this game. We didn't win this game because all three facets of the game at some point let us down, and the officials didn't do their job when they needed to at times. But we had opportunities to overcome the officials. This is something we can talk about every game. Some games the officials are in your favor and you're thankful. Other games they're not. This was one of the games when they weren't in our favor, but it didn't stop us from winning the game. It didn't help us. It was a hindrance and it made us have to overcome them. But at the same time, we had our chances to do exactly that and we just didn't do it. Protect Sports Network. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Protect Sports Network. Right. Yo, Lou, pray all is well. Need you back on soon. Hit me up. All right. Raging Sports Talk. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Raging Sports Talk writes, we need FedEx rocking in 2 weeks. I'll be there. Will we play on Saturday or Sunday? Did the NFL decide yet? I can't see any way that that's not a Saturday game. As we sit here today, I'm willing to bet just about anything that's a Saturday game. You got 2 7-win teams, and whether the Giants win next week or not, they'll be either the same record as Washington at 7-5-1, or they'll be 8-4-1 if they beat the Eagles next week. Whatever the case may be, you're going to have 2 7-win teams. And whether Seattle wins or not next week is, to be determined. But if Seattle doesn't win next week, you got 2 teams that are in the playoffs playing one another. How does that not end up on Saturday? I feel like we'll be playing next Saturday or 2 Saturdays from now. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. That'll be a Saturday game. But we'll see. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Fat American writes, wonder if they didn't like Flowers' attitude. They wouldn't have cut him if they didn't have to clear out the cap space. Now, once they moved on from him, this staff has shown that outside of like John Bostic, they're not really recycling anything that they get rid of. They get rid of a guy, they're just going to move on. Like they're not admitting that, hey, we need this dude. Like they could have signed Landon Collins. You don't think Landon Collins could help this team at that linebacker-esque position? But they weren't. They drafted Percy Butler. They felt good about Derek Forrest. They weren't moving backwards. They felt good about the 2 linemen that they brought in, the ex-Carolina Panthers. They weren't moving backwards at guard. So I don't know if his attitude had anything to do with it. Just think they moved on from him and they weren't going back. J-Mart. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, J-Mart. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Right. What's a given is that we will miss opportunities, and if we are up by more than 10, the defense gets lax and we lose the lead. Not looking forward to game 2. I don't think that the defense gets lax and that we're going to lose the lead. I do believe that they're going to give up points. It doesn't always mean they didn't give up the lead against the Eagles. They didn't give up the lead against the Falcons. They didn't keep the lead at 2 scores either in either one of those games. But I mean, that's what they do, right? We know this. So while we can sit here and rag on the defense, the offense in these runs that these teams go on, the offense does get the football, mind you. Like they are allowed to stem the tide and take the defense off the hook, which the defense does on a weekly basis for the offense. Take them off the hook for another, lackadaisical, ho-hum, barely average performance. The defense takes them off the hook all the time by finding a way to get it done. So the offense is allowed, after the defense gives up a field goal to Atlanta when we're up 19-10, the defense is allowed to then go, or the offense is allowed to go and get a field goal and extend it back out to 22-13. They are allowed to do that. They're allowed to go down the field and score a touchdown and make it 26-13. They don't. The score didn't have to be, it didn't have to be 10-10. The offense got the ball and it was 10-3. They could have went and gotten a field goal back. They could have went and scored a touchdown, but they didn't. So we can blame the defense. And there's enough blame to go around, but the offense can do a better job too. So, Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, man, F this. I'm about to go get some Taco Bell. Watch a butthole. That's all I'm going to say. Ding! All right. J-Mart, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for the super chat and doubling up. J-Mart writes, how bad are the injuries? Terry is that dude. We don't know yet. Obviously, we won't find out more about the injuries until tomorrow. I would assume Ron is going to keep his normal schedule and speak to the media tomorrow. And then you won't hear from Ron the rest of the week. They don't have to speak. They're off. So we may find out how severe the injuries are. We may not. Ron might do the thing that he always does, which is say, hey, I haven't met with the staff yet, so I don't have the answers as to how severe the injuries are. And usually we would get that update on Wednesday when we go to practice, but we're not going to be in that position this week. So we may not find out the severity of the injuries until later on in next week by sometime. Who knows? And Terry is definitely that dude, which is, I hate to be that guy, but in those situations where the Giants are blitzing, I would rather just go to 17. Slant. I don't need the wide receiver screen. I'm good. I'll pass on that. I just watched the Bengals close out the Chiefs. The Chiefs wanted the ball one more time, and the Bengals had to get 2 first downs. You know who they threw it to on both? Well, you know who they threw it to on? They needed 3 first downs. 2 of those 3 first downs on third down. You know who they threw the football to? Jamar Chase. Let my playmaker get it in space. He'll do the rest. I would prefer us to just get the ball to Terry. Period. End of discussion. But that's just me. John Livingston, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JL Smooth, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, back in the #1 spot, controlling our own destiny feels good. Feels good. Feels damn good. All right. You know what you got to do, but now you got to do it. It's one thing to be in that position. It's another thing to take advantage of being in that position. Protect Sports Network, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Right. Any adjustments you'll make during the bye week? I mean, what more can you really do? There's not really much more you can do. We are who we are at this point. And so I don't think there's any adjustments that you can really make. All you can do is just be better at what you do. That's it. I think, and Scott Turner will be better because he's going to have an extra week to prepare for the Giants. I expect the offense to be sharper, crisper, more dynamic, more diversity, give them looks they haven't seen. I expect the offense to look really good, believe it or not, on in week 15 versus the Giants. Now, will it translate into points? It could be just like the Jacksonville game. Remember, we were moving the ball up and down the field. We got stalled out on 14 after starting, red hot and razor sharp. Then Curtis Samuel fumbles, and we get stuck on 14. And we chill for a minute on 14. So could that be us again? Absolutely. But we'll see. Rick, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, hey, Lou, Jimmy G out for the season. Ouch. That's a massive blow to the 49ers. Now, Brock Purdy came in and played well. There's no tape out on him, but still, to come in and do what he did today, I've seen the numbers. And to score 33, that's saying something. I trust Kyle Shanahan, but again, Brock Purdy's going to make mistakes. That's the beauty of Jimmy G. You say what you want, but he knows how to protect the football and manage games. Now you're putting a youngin out there that's going to make some mistakes. The mistakes happen with young quarterbacks. So that's a big blow to the 49ers. Yikes. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, hope we can get healthy after this bye. We all do, man. We all do. We hope that Juice is back. Chase Young is back. Montez Sweat is back. Trey Turner is back. Sam Cosmi is back. I'm not holding my breath for Tyler Larson. I think his season's done. You get carted off this late in the season. Von Miller got carted off and his season isn't done, but he's on IR. He's going to miss 4 games. Larson is done in my mind. You never like to see that, but this will be the second year in a row he doesn't finish the season, just like the guy he was replacing in Chase Rouillet's second consecutive year. He doesn't finish the season. Like somebody said earlier, I don't know what it is with us and centers, but we just don't have any luck. J Mart, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. J Mart writes, O does not get a pass. Special teams goes into a shell. ST goes into a shell. Scott Turner, excuse me. No, the offense doesn't get a pass. No way, no how. Absolutely not. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, is there anything we can do O-line wise? No, it's nothing available this time of the year, dude. Anything worth having at least. They're going to have to coach up what we have. Hope some guys get healthy, but the fact of the matter is you got some guys on, the practice squad that you're comfortable with. You're going to have to move those dudes up. It is what it is. We got what we got, and it is what it is. So Jordan like the GOAT. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jordan like the GOAT writes, thoughts on potentially seeing Odell in week 15? That doesn't bother me. Even if he is a giant, it doesn't bother me. I could care less, honestly speaking. If he plays, cool. It'll be his first game in that offense. If he doesn't, they have games coming up. It's not like they're on a bye week. They got 2 weeks to acclimate him. He played. I mean, look, we got cooked by a guy that was in Minnesota for 4 days. I mean, anything can happen. But if he goes to the Giants, good for him. Good for him. I'll tell you this much. I'd rather him back in New York than with the Cowboys. He's more dangerous in Dallas than he is in New York. I'll just say that. But, I told you guys this. I don't worry about what other teams do. I just worry about us. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, bruh, sign Flowers. I don't care if they're embarrassed. If they were going to sign him, they would have already done it. They're not going to do it. Bloodshot Sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Bloodshot Sports writes, could be worse if we lost. Scott got 2 weeks. I like our chances. As do I. I like our chances. I don't like all the injuries we incurred in this game, but I like our chances in 2 weeks. But I'm just happy for the bye. I'm happy for the fellas to get a chance to rest, lick their wounds, get some R&R, get away from football for a week, and then come back refocused. I really think this bye is going to do us some really good. I really think that this is like milk, like they used to say when I was a kid, does a body good. I think this bye week is going to be huge, not just for the physical, but for the mental of these boys. I really like the timing of this bye, and I think it can make us a much more dangerous team down the stretch. It could do one of two things. Either this bye could come in and be the catalyst that helps drive us to the playoffs. We come out fresh, firing against the Giants, and parlay that into a trip. Now, all of a sudden, that trip to San Francisco looks different with Brock Purdy at quarterback, doesn't it? This is what I'm talking about. This is why I say, don't worry about what we got down the line. That trip to San Francisco looks a whole hell of a lot different. Not that Jimmy G was a world beater, but he's a veteran that has played in the Super Bowl, went to the NFC Championship game last season, and knows Kyle Shanahan's offense in and out. Now they're going to have Brock Purdy at quarterback. Shit changes quick in this league, don't it? Anyway, I digress. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, you think we can afford to bring back Taylor Heinecke next year? Yeah, and they will. He'll be back. He's not going anywhere. As long as Scott Turner has a job, Taylor Heinecke will have a job. Trucking with a. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes 2 words? Sam Howell. That's the super chat. And with that, I say adios to you guys. You know what? 7-5-1 isn't as bad as 7-6. I've said that. I can't say it enough. I don't like ties. I don't like how we played for the tie in this game. It felt like at times, but considering that we almost gave up a game-clinching sack, I don't really blame them for that lack of aggressiveness. But I still, me being a competitor, I can't play for a tie in my mind, knowing that the Giants can't cover our receivers. And if you just give 17 a chance, he can get 10 yards. But it is what it is. They played for the tie, and they got the tie. And we're 7-5-1. And if the playoffs started today, we'd still be going. So for that reason, we're fortunate today because we could have lost, just like we could have won, we could have lost several times and should have. Again, if John Feliciano isn't flexing, we ain't having this conversation. We talking about going into this bye at 7-6, pissed the hell off. Instead, we're mild. This is mid. We're mid right now. Appreciate you, John Feliciano. Just like last year, Dexter Lawrence. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, John Feliciano. Bloodshot Sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? But I'm glad Taylor found Jahan though, and I told you he would. And that wasn't a shock. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes 2 words for the previous super? You a hoe. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm done with y'all. I'm getting out of here. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Black for L's, white for dubs. Is this a great album? I mean, we didn't lose, so I guess. But I mean, I mixed it up. You know, no white at all today because we didn't earn that. But yeah, I guess great album. I guess. Anyway, I digress. Jarrett Fromm says, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jarrett writes, Lou, we are 8th at the moment with the Seahawks win. So I don't quite know how that works. I would assume because they're 7-5 now. We're 7-5-1 with the tie. We've played more games than them. So there's that. But I would assume that the tie would give you the edge over someone that's just 7-5. But I could be wrong about that. So maybe the Seahawks are 7, excuse me, and we're 8. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care about that because the playoffs don't start today. You know, I just like being, when they show the graphic and they have the playoff picture and then in the hunt, I just like being in the playoff picture. That warms my heart. If we're on the outside in the hunt, so be it. We earned that. We put ourselves in that position. So it is what it is. Thank you for that, Jarrett. I'll make sure to look that up so I can speak the actual factuals. Thank you for the super chat. Why you keep calling me Fat American? Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Because your name is Fat American. That's why. And you keep trying to get me to say stupid ass shit. Bruh, how you feel about the next matchup? I feel good. I'm glad we're getting this by. I'll tell you how I feel as we get closer to that game. We had a lot of injuries today. And some of those are huge. We don't know if we're getting Benjamin St. Juice back. We think we are. We're not sure. We don't know what the status is of some of these players. You know, we don't know what the offensive line is going to look like in 2 weeks. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it right now. I like the fact that we didn't play our best game. This is who the Giants are. This is who we are. This is who the Giants are. The Giants didn't play their best game, but this is who they are. We didn't play our best game. This is who we are. But I feel like there's a greater margin for us to increase what we did today versus what the Giants. Like, they can't get much better than what they did today. This is how they win games. Now, they add Odell Beckham Jr., they could get a lot better. But they'd have to add him. They can't be much better They got their best pass rusher back. They got a bunch of guys back that were hurt. They were playing at their maximum peak today, aside from Adoree Jackson not being there. You know, Fabian Moreau is one of their starting corners. It is what it is. We didn't have one of our starting corners, just like they didn't have one of their starting corners. We didn't have Chase Young. They got Azeez Ojulari back today. We didn't have Chase Young. We may have him back next game. Who's to say? We'll see. That's all I'm going to say. I feel good about the next matchup. And Scott Turner's going to have an additional week to prepare. No, it's not. It's thank you for the super chat, Fat American. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, when you go into a Commanders game, if ever? I told you when they get a new stadium, that's when I'll come. That's when I'll come. And when we get a new stadium, I'll be there. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me tonight. This was a lot of fun. Giants, Commanders played to a 2020 tie. Giants are 7-4-1. Commanders now 7-5-1. Bye week for Washington. Much needed. A lot of injuries in this game. Lick your wounds, you come back, and the next time we play, we'll see these same Giants. Next time, we'll be at home, and next time, we need it to be a win. In any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I'll see you guys next time. As always, God bless and good night.